explosive testimony, high-profile witness, none other than Kid Cudi himself. Yep, the rapper detailed a series of alleged retaliatory acts, including a Molotov cocktail attack on his car that he believes was orchestrated by Sean Combs because he claims Diddy found out that he was having relations with Cassandra Ventura, right? Diddy's then girlfriend, on again, off again girlfriend. And the jury also heard even more disturbing allegations of alleged abuse against Ventura Fine. Hotel records revealed even more about Diddy's movements, possible attempts to even obscure his whereabouts. We can see where the prosecution's going. So we're going to get into all of this. I want to bring back on, I should say, here on Sidebar, Law and Crimes reporter Elizabeth Milner, who has been inside that courtroom for every day of this action, including today. So much to get into, Elizabeth. Before we even get into Kid Cudi, just tell me, we haven't talked about it in a while, what is the atmosphere in the courtroom? Who's showing up for Diddy? And overall, what's his demeanor like?
Yeah, so when Diddy comes inside the courtroom, he's still in kind of those muted colors. He's still wearing sweaters. He still has white button-ups underneath. He still wears the slacks. Of course, he can't have a belt or have shoelaces tied to his shoes or anything like that. But as far as today's appearance goes, today Diddy was in the gray sweater, white undershirt, and gray slacks. When he comes inside the courtroom, more often than not, he's hugging his attorneys. He's kind of doing like a hand clap with them, dabbing them up, that type of thing. Then he goes over to the defense table. He essentially takes his seat. Then he's starting to kind of essentially get to work, where he's writing down notes to his attorneys. He's speaking with them, more likely to talk about what's going to be happening today and that type of thing. But as far as just who's in the courtroom, it's still a different presence than it was on the first couple of days of trial. And that today specifically, we didn't see his sons, we didn't see his daughters inside the courtroom, nor did we see his mother. However, he did have family in there, and that was, of course, being his sister, Keisha, who's been in the courtroom every single day of this week. But as far as other support goes, he did have one of his childhood friends inside that courtroom too, and then possibly some of the public who are just generally fans of Diddy. The other day, I actually saw somebody in the gallery who was sitting kind of towards the back row on the public side, giving Diddy kind of a heart, and then Diddy gave the heart back because he also sometimes goes by love. And so I think he kind of appreciates the public support when he's inside the courtroom, but for the most part, he's essentially getting inside that courtroom, getting to work, and anticipating what's going to be coming of another day of trial.
It's fascinating because we do a lunch show every day, and I would say the majority of people who watch and take the polls, they think the evidence supports his conviction. They think he's guilty. I think that's a fair estimation, a lot of what we're seeing. But you also have the support for Diddy online, on social media. I think people are quite split on this, and it does become a question how much of the evidence is actually swaying their opinion. I mean, at the end of the day, it only matters about the jury. And what did the jury hear today? So they heard from Kid Cudi. Okay, so when he shows up, by the way, I mean, he shows up in a leather jacket, wearing a white t-shirt underneath. There were pictures of him coming into the court smoking a cigarette. I mean, the guy is like a superstar. He comes right in, A-list celebrity. Now, people might be saying, what is his connection to this case? He did come up during Cassandra Ventura's testimony. So let's talk about this. He gets on the stand, okay? Two questions for you. First of all, let's take it piece by piece. What did he say about how he first got involved with Cassandra Ventura and what the relationship was like? And what was his overall demeanor like?
The happy ending to the first date is not the second.
Well, when he was inside the courtroom, he was super casual. I will say, Jesse, that when when the government was calling his name as the next witness to come to the stand, I will say most of the people inside that courtroom, with the exception of the defense table, the prosecutors, everyone just turned around in their seat to get a look of Kid Cudi walking inside that courtroom. I'm telling you, everybody's back was turned to see him go inside that courtroom, take the witness stand. So there was a lot of anticipation for his testimony today, especially from us in the media, as well as probably people who are just general fans of Kid Cudi. So yes, to your point, Jesse, he is very casual even while on the stand, and he appeared casual while testifying today. He did have that black motorcycle jacket. He had his earring in. He had a white T-shirt on. He had jeans on, and just walked up to the witness stand as this was just any other day. But you could tell that this is something he doesn't do very often, as far as testifying in a federal courtroom, and because he would say things like one-liners that were a little funny, and then he would say things like, "What you say now?" And it's just like it was so casual while on the stand, and it was a little funny at times. But just as far as his involvement in the case, he's been a name that a lot of people have been hearing multiple times since testimony began, but they're not hearing Kid Cudi. What they're hearing is Scott Mescudi, his real name, his government name, I should say. But as far as his connection to the case, he and Cassie started off as friends together. Then they were going to start working together on this song. Diddy kind of try to set that up for them so that way Cassie could have a song with Kid Cudi. But the two became close, and the two I'm talking about, of course, being Kid Cudi and Cassie Ventura, they became close and romantically close as well too. So as far as his involvement in the case, he said he dated Cassie back in 2011, something we knew from Cassie's testimony as well too. And he said that he knew around that time that Cassie and Diddy had some problems, but he said that they weren't dating at the time. That's what his understanding was of their entire situation. So then, as we're getting into the exhibits, they do show a photo of Capricorn Clark, and she kind of plays a role into it, and I'll get into that in just a second. But we see a photo exhibit of Capricorn Clark, a photo exhibit that we've seen a number of times. And Kid Cudi said that she was a friend of Cassie's. Didn't even necessarily mention that she also worked for Diddy. I think he kind of slipped that in at the end, but really the focus was that she was a friend of Cassie's. Now we get into December of 2011. This is around the time that Cassie and Kid Cudi are dating one another. But police came to Kid Cudi's home because he had a break-in at his home, and it was really interesting, kind of how he was just explaining from his side of the story, just about all the events that occurred. So he said that day actually started with a call from Cassie around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and Diddy had found out that the two were dating one another, and Cassie sounded really stressed on this phone call. So what Kid Cudi did was he went and picked up Cassie. He took her to a hotel, the Sunset Marquis in California, to make sure that she was in a safe place and away from Diddy, essentially, because she just sounded so stressed and nervous during this phone call. Kid Cudi, again, at the time, didn't even realize that she was still kind of dealing with him. She being Cassie, still dealing with Diddy. And so Diddy had asked, I guess, for Kid Cudi's address. And I think this was a point that the defense later drove home, was that Cassie was the one who gave Diddy Kid Cudi's address. And so Kid Cudi said that he didn't know what Diddy was necessarily going to do. So when they were at the hotel, he actually spoke to Capricorn Clark on the phone. He said, as far as Capricorn Clark's connection to it, that Capricorn hung out with Kid Cudi and Cassie a lot of times. That's what Kid Cudi had said on the stand. But during this particular phone call, Capricorn sounded scared and kind of on the verge of fear, because Sean Combs, aka Diddy, one of his affiliates, who we don't know the name of this other person, and Capricorn Clark were actually at Kid Cudi's house. Well, Kid Cudi wasn't even there. So that means that Diddy was inside Kid Cudi's home, according to Kid Cudi, during this incident. So Kid Cudi actually went home after he got this call from Capricorn Clark, and then we see an exhibit photo of Kid Cudi's old home, the home where the break-in had occurred, and we see the front door gate. And he describes this neighborhood as like quiet and family-oriented, not thinking that break-ins really happen in this particular neighborhood. And so he actually ends up getting on the phone with Diddy while he's driving back and rushing back to his home. And Kid Cudi, he was very casual on the stand. And by casual, he also used a lot of profanity on the stand as well, too. So he said, "Mother effer," you know what I mean? "Are you in my house?" Diddy responded, "I just want to talk to you." And these are Kid Cudi's words. It's not like we heard a voice note or anything like that. This is what Kid Cudi had recalled about this entire.
Lisa, you won't believe it.
Hit that notification button, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, leave a comment about the tap man right now. I'm about to tap man. The boy Kid Cudi took the stand today. Kid Cudi's a mother. Whew. Boy, we on fire tonight, baby. Y'all got to get to it. Y'all got to get to it. Hit that notification button. Hit that subscribe button. Drop a like. Leave a comment. Over here fixing something real quick. You know what I'm saying? YouTube regulations. You know what I mean? Can't do certain things on camera. So yeah, I'm backing off right now. Please hit that notification button. Hit that subscribe button. Drop a like. Leave a comment. We in the building. Hey, Love, I can't pull you in on this if you still in, J Love. Shout out to my man Midway J. Make sure y'all shoot over and check his channel out. Hit that notification button, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, leave a comment. Hey, put something in the cash app, man. Donate to the channel. We trying to get this streaming stuff to go. Let's go.
Situation, but Diddy had responded.
Kid Cudi took the stand though. Kid Cudi took the stand. And
this is something Kid Cudi
I'm gonna get into it.
He sounded pretty calm on the phone while this was happening. So he gets home. He sees the security cameras aren't adjusted the way that they normally are. They're turned down as if somebody had moved them. They're turned in the opposite angle. And Kid Cudi said he wasn't the one that moved those security cameras. So when he got home, he started his suspicion alarms just ran and ran and ran because he said that gifts were open on his kitchen counter. It was stuff from Chanel. He said his dog was in the bathroom at this time, and his dog normally just, like a lot of our pets, just runs free around the home whenever the pet parent isn't at home or isn't present. But his dog in this particular incident was shut behind a bathroom door. And he had this dog for a 2-year time period, even prior to this incident. And he noticed that his dog's behavior started to change after this break-in, that the dog became jittery and was on edge all the time. And Kid Cudi got back into his car and called Diddy because he was looking for him. He wanted to fight him. He was that mad, he says. And so after the phone call, or after he was trying to look for Diddy to essentially possibly beat him up, Kid Cudi said he kind of thought about the situation, the reality and gravity of what could be another situation. So what he ended up doing was he actually called the police. He returned home, and by the time he had returned home after looking for Diddy, the police were there, and he had filed a police report about this break-in incident.
And what's interesting about it is because I think obviously it goes to a number of factors. So the idea that Capricorn Clark made the allegation, right, that she was taken by Sean Combs and an affiliate to Kid Cudi's place, that goes to what? Kidnapping, one of the alleged predicate crimes for racketeering. The more that establishes that he was, breaking into his home, goes to this pattern of criminal activity. Again, the jury has to digest the fact that Sean Combs was a leader of a criminal enterprise for racketeering. And I think that this is essential for it. But now we go into something else, right? Now we go into the allegation that Sean Combs had blown up Kid Cudi's car. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, it was something that we had kind of known about for a while now, right? Because it was actually laid out in Cassie's federal lawsuit, which we know was filed one day, settled the next day, back in November of 2023. But as far as this arson goes, this Molotov cocktail inside Kid Cudi's Porsche, this happened on January 9th of 2016. So it was just about a week or two after he and Cassie had even broken up. And so he said that he was over at his ex-girlfriend's sister's house at this time, and he got a call from his dog's babysitter, his dog sitter at the time, and got a call that his car was on fire and it caught fire. And so Kid Cudi on the stand said, she told me my car was on fire. I immediately went to my house. So he gets to his house, he sees his car in the driveway, and then that's when we see a bunch of exhibit photos. And this is kind of the first time I think that we've really seen just the damage of the car and what it really entailed in the aftermath of this Molotov cocktail being launched into Kid Cudi's car. So we saw photos of the damaged car. We saw kind of a cut open roof from the Molotov cocktail. The roof was blown out. And according to Kid Cudi, the person who took those photos wasn't Kid Cudi himself. It was actually Kid Cudi's best friend Chip who had taken these photos. And so we see more exhibit photos of the burnt driver's side door with all the smoke damage. We see a hole in the roof again. We see the damage to the driver's side again with the burned seats. And then Kid Cudi said that when he arrived home, he did see the damage, but he also saw the burnt bottle, aka the Molotov cocktail, on the ground outside of the car. He said it was kind of lodged on the driver's side of the car. And he said when he had arrived home as well too,
get some of
that
that shit
police were
back.
at his home, and his car wasn't even able to be repaired after the fire. And he was asked about his reaction by prosecutor Emily Johnson, and his reaction was, "What the fuck?" And so that was just kind of another moment of Kid Cudi, even though it's a serious situation, but still coming off just relatively casual just about the entire incident. And I thought what was interesting is because right after Kid Cudi gave his reaction, we went to a little break, that Diddy's demeanor really kind of, it was very just kind of from what I could tell, just kind of emotionless. Like he didn't seem like he thought it was funny or anything like that, which was kind of a stark reaction from when the previous witness, that being George Kaplin, took the stand, where Diddy was laughing at some of the testimony, all of that stuff. But with Kid Cudi specifically today, Jesse, Diddy had little to no reaction from what I could tell from where I was sitting, just about everything. Because when Kid Cudi's kind of a
Don't just get the news.
Yeah, so you say you wanted to wait like another year for that shit to come there? Yeah, most definitely. I'm on YouTube at the same time. But hell yeah, though, man. I'm happy to see you, though. How did your Mac out there? I said, how did your Mac out there? I said, how did your Mac out there? How the brothers out
this
there?
might have been at the hands of Sean Combs. I think
Y'all
you know
strong? Did your Mac
Sean
strong?
Combs knows that the jury is kind of listening very
What the fuck
closely
y'all be
to these
doing,
types of
Trey? You all
allegations.
It's damning testimony because not only does it help support, as I mentioned, kidnapping, then it helps support arson, right? Arson, one of the other underlying predicate crimes for racketeering. Prosecution just needs to prove at least two. Now talk to me about this. Kid Cudi confronted Diddy, right?
There was definitely a
It's not like us,
confrontation
is
that
it?
happened shortly after
Ain't nothing like
Pac
us,
was
is it?
inside Kid Cudi's car. And I thought
That's what I
just
said. I
kind of
seen the
circling
picture.
back
I
really
said,
quick,
my man's
Jesse,
in
is
the
that
down
he was actually asked, "Do you think that this is accidental, or do you think this was intentional?" And Kid Cudi said that he didn't believe that this was intentional. And so what ended up happening is that he said that Diddy was reaching out to him and texting him and calling him a number of times. And Kid Cudi was just so furious, essentially, at around this time, that he just wasn't answering, he wasn't responding, but he just wanted essentially the drama to stop. And so he ended up reaching out to Diddy after his car caught fire, because he had told Diddy that this is getting out of hand. And so what ended up happening was D-Rock, a name that we have been hearing about a number of times, one of Diddy's then security guards, and then Kid Cudi's manager, Dennis, had set up this meeting so that way Diddy and Kid Cudi could talk and hash things out. And so this meeting happened in Los Angeles at Soho House, something that they actually have here in New York City as well too. And Kid Cudi had said when he arrived, he met with D-Rock, who escorted him up into a room. And this is where there was kind of a little light moment of laughter, but maybe from Diddy's point of view, he didn't think it was that funny. But Kid Cudi said, well, on the stand, that when he got into this room where he was supposed to meet Diddy, that Diddy was just kind of staring off, and he looked like a Marvel supervillain. A point that a lot of people in the courtroom were laughing about, as well as some of the jurors. But did Diddy particularly think it's funny? Possibly not. But Kid Cudi had said that Diddy's demeanor, for the most part, appeared calm during this meetup. And Kid Cudi said that was actually a little off-putting to him, because he said it was weird that he was acting so calm. He said that later Cassie ended up arriving to this meeting, and that he was a little upset with Cassie because she didn't think that she was going to go back to him. And so during this meeting, Kid Cudi said that he didn't have conflict with anyone else at this time. So I think he kind of pointed it at this being kind of Sean Combs' fault that his car got blown up, essentially. But he said after this meeting, and after they kind of talked things through and hashed things out, that Kid Cudi and Diddy stood up, they shook each other's hand, and Kid Cudi said to Diddy, "What are we going to do about my car?" And Diddy responded, "I don't know what you're talking about." And Kid Cudi said that he had said this kind of relatively calmly. But after this meeting, there were no more break-ins in Kid Cudi's home. There were no more car bombs lodged into his car or Molotov cocktails. And after, he didn't see Diddy again until a few years later, surprisingly, at Soho House once again. And Diddy surprisingly apologized later on. And Kid Cudi had said that after he received the apology years later from Diddy, he said he kind of made peace with the entire situation. And so that was kind of the wrap up of his direct testimony. Obviously, with the cross, there were some holes poked in it here and there, but we'll definitely talk about that.
Before we even get into the cross, what exactly was the apology what exactly did Combs?
Shit, I know you talking that shit with that Raven shit now in their football
From
season.
Kid Cudi's testimony today, he said that he was at Soho House again, this being years after the Molotov cocktail, that he ran into Diddy there when Diddy was with his daughters. And essentially, Diddy had said that he was just sorry for everything, not going into much detail, not a point where he said, I was the one who did this, I'm the one behind it, nothing like that. But essentially, he just said that the apology was pretty quick, brief, and that he had moved on from the situation afterwards.
Did Kid Cudi testify about Diddy's alleged abuse of Cassie?
My number, use that motherfucker. You need nigga talk to books and
Well,
shit.
that really was kind of touched upon during the cross-examination, the cross being presented by Brian Still, who we all know very well here at Law and Crime. But as far as what Kid Cudi said during the cross-examination, he said that Cassie never told him about sexual abuse. He said that he was in love with Cassie while the two were together, and that Kid Cudi actually never saw Diddy hit Cassie around this time. But another point that I think Brian Still was trying to point out during this testimony, during the cross-examination, is that Diddy never interrupted Kid Cudi and Cassie when they were together, and Kid Cudi said, yeah, that's pretty true. Then they started kind of talking about the burner phones and whether or not Cassie had told Kid Cudi that she had multiple phones, because while Cassie was on the stand, she did own up to the fact that she did have a burner phone, so that way Diddy wouldn't get mad or angry at her. And so when asked, did you tell the government that Cassie had multiple phones? Kid Cudi said, I can't remember, but if I said it, I said it. A little moment where people are laughing in the courtroom. But then they kind of ended on the cross-examination as far as just again driving the point home that this, and I hate to say it this way, that it might have been Cassie's fault for pointing Diddy to his home, because Cassie was the one that gave Diddy Kid Cudi's address, according to testimony today. So I think as far as just the big points of the cross-examination, it felt like they were kind of turning this to Cassie's fault, and this was Cassie's the reason that this had happened, because she was the one that gave the address to Diddy.
And also trying to say, you know, she was the one who played you, like she played Combs, like she's the manipulative one, she's the one who can't be trusted. And I think that's something that they've been building up a lot, talking about her filing a lawsuit against Combs, and that she might have ulterior motives, and the burner phones, and that could be a dangerous strategy, but it's an interesting strategy nonetheless. And focusing on the fact that she said she never told Kid Cudi that she was sexually abused, which is a key component of the prosecution's case. And I also understand they asked a little bit more about, was there further investigation into the essential firebombing of your car. He's also asked about DNA, I think. And so I could see where they were going with the cross-examination, but the points were well heard by Kid Cudi's testimony. So now I want to move into the other testimony. And I actually want to backtrack, because the day started with the continued testimony of George Kaplin, right? Diddy's former assistant, very important in a racketeering case. If you're going to be talking about racketeering in a criminal enterprise, and that Combs used his businesses and his resources and his employees and his staff to further criminal activity and cover things up, you got to get the inner circle to testify. Now, my understanding is he testified about some specific violent incidents, right? What did he describe?
We love helping you save. That's why we're offering.
Yes. We back in the building with another podcast vlog, and this is Raw Dope Podcast, RDP, I like to call it, and I'm your host, Hand 5000. Listen, man, please hit that notification button, hit that subscribe button, share, like, comment, do what you got to do. But we in the building, man. RDP, man. RD Podcast. I'm in the building. Hey, we got Diddy, day 9, the Diddy trial. Kid Cudi took the stand on. We're going to talk about that big shooting in D.C. Jewish museum shot up, suspect caught. 5 catcher that escaped from New Orleans Parish Jail. And man, we get and whatever else we got on. Please hit that notification button. Please hit that subscribe button. Drop a like, leave a comment. It's your boy in here with y'all for a couple of hours. I'm gonna roll up. I'm gonna sip something. And we gonna get into these topics, man. I meant to put my joint up there, man. Be on the lookout, man. Cause some of my homies in Baltimore gonna be tapping on the page with me though. So let's go, man. This is Kid Cudi testimony, and this is a little bit of law and crime, and I'm gonna mix a little bit with this and that, a little bit of pop. But subscribe. Been in here 24 minutes. I had to do. Hold up. I had a jail call. I had a jail call. Free my Muslim brother, man. Free the boy Trey. Free Keon, man. Free my man Carter, man. Free my brother Pert, man. Free my man Da Vinci, man. Free Hammer. Free all them good men behind the G wall, man. Mr. Bros, man, 100%, bro. So I had little things I had to do before I jumped on camera. So it's a little bit late. So I'm gonna make up for that. Please hit that notification button, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, leave a comment. And if you want to, man, hey, the Cash App right there, man. Donate $1.50 a quarter. Y'all pay for Netflix, y'all pay for Hulu, y'all pay for a lot of things. It ain't none of my business. I ain't no pocket watcher. But if you like my content and the content free, Cleasy, you know that's my dog. You know what I mean? Hey, and if you like my content, donate. If you don't want to donate, share the video, like the video, comment, hang out with me. Hang out with me, man. And listen, no fuck shit, no fake shit, no foolishness. Anything you say can and will be used against you on the internet. And the shit that Kid Cudi said on the stand, is going to be used against him on the internet. He's a whistleblowing motherfucker. Let's go.
Didn't do anything. He said he was young. He couldn't believe that he was working for an icon around this time. And again, just kind of he throughout his testimony today was really just kind of driving home the point that Diddy was such an icon, gave him his first like major opportunity, and he was just so proud to be working with Diddy around this time. And so he said that
Yo,
he was
come on,
trying
y'all,
to
free
accomplish
Clebo.
something professionally, and by speaking
I'm ready to
up
share
and
this link to
speaking out
Clebo.
against his boss, that he wouldn't be able to accomplish this. And so Diddy told Cassie during this incident to stay in the back of the plane. Nobody again checked on her. The flight was about an hour long, according to George, and Diddy again going to that club appearance. So what George's role was in the situation after was he was to bring Cassie to the club later on. He said he didn't see any bruising on Cassie in this particular incident, but did recall another incident where she was bruised in 2015. In that particular incident, Cassie was crying on the bed.
I'm posting a link to my
And George
Instagram.
said that he was in the room for less than 3 seconds before Diddy went in, and Diddy asked him to get him ointments like a witch hazel cream to kind of get rid of the bruising. But as far as the plane incident specifically, he said that he didn't see bruising on Cassie during that incident, and nor did anyone help her during that incident. But his role after the fact was to get Cassie. Help get Cassie.
Man, good looking, yeah. I appreciate you, that, bro. It's behind my heart.
Diddy during his club appearance, and
I appreciate that. Love you, bro. I really appreciate that. Man, yeah, donated something to me, man. I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, man.
Allegedly helping this.
I really do, bro.
That goes towards the racketeering.
I really appreciate that, man. God bless your soul, bro. That's what you do. Your brothers just keep it real no matter what, G.
But what I think is really telling, and it also came out earlier on in the trial, when you had Dawn Richard testify that she witnessed Cassie being punched by Diddy in front of celebrities and they did nothing. I think it goes to the idea why Cassie
I'm sharing a link to my social media platform.
Why she didn't leave. Because the allegation would be, if these people are not stepping in, how on earth could she feel protected to do anything? I mean, if Combs, it shows the power of him. He's able to do these things and nobody does anything. Nobody steps in. What do you expect her to do? Now, I'm not saying that. I think that's the prosecution, an argument they're going to move forward with. But again, this is just another symptom of that. It's another characteristic of it. Real quick, on cross-examination, though, did they question him about the fact that this wasn't for the benefit of a criminal enterprise, right? It wasn't for the benefit of Sean Combs' businesses? Because I think that's a key component there. If you're saying there's a criminal enterprise, everything that they do has to benefit. Everything they do has to benefit the Combs businesses or Combs himself. Didn't they get into that a little bit?
As far as the cross-examination goes, I just got to tell you, Jesse, sometimes with the defense and their questioning, I never know where they're kind of going with this. Because even during cross, which was done by Mark Agnifilo, there was just a lot of, it felt like ego boosting of Diddy and just the role that he had essentially in this world before all the allegations came out, before his arrest, before the indictment, and even before the trial, because there was just a lot of talk just about his career around the time, how he was a mogul, he had handled all these different businesses and clothing and lifestyle and television. And so there are a lot of times where they were just essentially talking about
life.
So basically, Kid Cudi then took the stand and said that Diddy broke in his house. Diddy bombed his car. He wanted to fight Diddy, and then he went to the police. That's what he said. He said he called Diddy. Diddy was acting like he was in his house, telling him, you know, that gangster stuff. Then he acted like he wanted to fight Diddy. But at the end of the day, his result in him calling the police. That's what Cudi took the way out. Calling the police. Cudi called the police, testified, smoked a cigarette, got his pose. Boy, these boys going Woody. You know what I'm saying? We call this the Woody. You know what I mean? We call this the Woody. Boys going Woody. Holly Woody. Let's get back
Diddy's
into it.
businesses, and Diddy seemed to kind of really enjoy this testimony where they're just kind of reminding the jury just the impact that Diddy's businesses had, including just diversity and how that was important to Diddy, and how George Kaplin really was proud of his work while working with Diddy under Combs Enterprise at the time. And as far as just getting into just some of the responsibilities that he had, and that he had a checklist for everything, and he was asked about the other members of Diddy's staff, including the CFO of Combs Enterprise. He was asked about Diddy's friend who worked at Revolt. He was asked about the CEO of Revolt. He was asked about James Cruz, Diddy's manager, and just the roles that they had played in kind of helping Diddy just essentially throughout his career and get to him to where he is or where he was at that point in time. They touched base a little bit about Christina Coram and how that George and Christina had this professional relationship, and that he essentially learned to do the job from Christina Coram's guidance. That was something that he had said on the stand today. He said he did speak to Christina about the violence, and she expressed sadness when he would hear that Diddy was essentially physically assaulting his girlfriends, but she had no endorsement of Diddy's behavior, which I thought was an interesting point they said under cross, mainly because Christina Coram worked with Diddy until essentially just recently. And so George said that it was really sad that these incidents had happened, because there was another incident with Gina, another girlfriend of Diddy, who Cassie said that who Cassie had said was kind of a problem throughout their relationship, because Diddy was dating both of them at the same time. Cassie was like, okay, you cannot see her anymore. And Diddy kept on seeing her. And then there was an incident at Diddy's home where Diddy was throwing apples at Gina. And that was another reason that George wanted to leave the job. And so he called these incidents horrible, but he said he didn't necessarily want to leave. But I think because of these incidents of violence that George said that he didn't want to do it anymore. And so then he was asked about Diddy's temper and how his temper didn't help his businesses. George was kind of pointing out that he had never worked harder in his life, that he had worked with Diddy around that time period. The defense asked, was that a good or a bad thing? George said, I can't really answer that. They brought back the water incident where George was asked to get Diddy the specific alkaline water. He filled half of the gallon with water, filled half a gallon with one bottle, another half gallon, and then combined the bottle. Diddy didn't like it, threatened his job at that time, but didn't necessarily threaten George himself. And so as far as just the temper issue, George did admit the temper was kind of a lot for him to kind of handle around this time, because he's in his early 20s while he's working for Diddy at this time. But then there were points during the cross where he said that Diddy was kind of inspirational, and that even to this day, or maybe possibly prior to his arrest, that George would wish Diddy well. He'd always tell him happy birthday. He invited Diddy to his wedding. Diddy didn't respond. And then just yesterday, just a little fun fact is they were talking about Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G., and they were talking about how most of Diddy's staff members on that day, which was yesterday, May 21st, that most of those staff members would actually get that day off because it's Biggie's birthday. So when they're talking about Biggie, Diddy's smiling inside the courtroom. He's kind of nodding at George. He seems a lot more jovial than he was, especially when Kid Cudi was testifying. But it seemed like, as far as from George's standpoint, really the only reason he left the job was because of these incidents of physical violence.
Yeah.
However, he didn't necessarily step in to help with those acts of violence either.
See, I think that's key for the defense. If they want to say that his temper, what he was doing, was not to benefit himself, was not to benefit the criminal enterprise, this wasn't a good thing. So it kind of defeats the prosecution's argument that all of this was beneficial. All of this was
I'm in here now. Next hour, y'all got me.
Good thing.
We gonna turn up.
Enterprise. If you think about a mafia organization, right? So if they were engaged in a series of crimes that brought the organization prestige, helped their reputation, brought in more money, you can understand how that makes sense and is digestible for a jury. Here, they're saying everything Combs was doing really didn't help this organization, really didn't help this criminal enterprise. I can see what they were saying here. Okay, So now it brings us to the testimony of a makeup artist, okay? What were some of the chilling details from this makeup artist? Because when I first heard that she was being called to the stand, and I understand a makeup artist for Cassie, the first thing I think is, oh,
no one knows your business like you do.
Let's go.
did she see injuries, and were these injuries that she covered up with makeup? Talk to us about what the makeup artist said.
So Milo Morales is a makeup artist. And
So the makeup artist took the stand too. The makeup artist took the stand too.
Working with Cassie for a number of years, but also in that same respect, also working with Diddy as well. And so she mentioned one incident. It was Grammy weekend of 2010, so a little while ago, and there was this party at Prince's house. So another Prince mention. She said that she had seen Cassie earlier in that day. They were at the, but they ended up going back to the Beverly Hills Hotel. Mila had fallen asleep, and then all of a sudden she wakes up and she hears this kind of commotion going on. Diddy somehow gets inside this hotel room. He comes in and says, "Where the F is she?" And she being Cassie. He was looking for Cassie. So he walked into the bedroom, and all of a sudden Mila could just hear screaming and yelling, and Mila said that she didn't know what to do, something that a lot of people have testified to, as far as just what's their reaction when something like this happens, and a lot of them just freeze and don't necessarily know what to do. Then all of a sudden, next thing she knew, Diddy had stormed out of the bedroom and just essentially left the hotel, and she didn't see any type of injuries to Diddy. However, when she saw Cassie, she saw a swollen eye, she saw knots, she saw a busted lip, and then Mila said they picked up Cassie's stuff. She took Cassie over to her house, which was just about a mile away from this hotel, and Cassie had stayed with Mila for a few days at her home. Mila explained that she actually had a doctor friend who came over and kind of evaluated Cassie to see if everything was okay with her, because she said that she was worried that Cassie might have had a concussion. But she said Cassie did also have her stomach and her ribs checked out, and the doctor actually suggested for them to go to the emergency room. They didn't go to the emergency room because Mila said around that time she was afraid of Diddy, and that at the time she had feared for her life. But then there was kind of an objection. That objection was sustained, and so they kind of brought that back in again, where Mila explained she didn't call the police because she feared for her life. And so afterwards, when Cassie left Mila's house, they didn't acknowledge the situation or anything. Mila and Cassie specifically didn't acknowledge what happened. Mila and Diddy never spoke about this incident. However, this was an incident that Mila Morales did talk about in TV interviews, because she was asked about that under direct examination. But Mila explained that she wasn't paid to do the interviews. However, she did provide a photo to a news outlet of herself and Kim Porter, and said that she was paid $1,000 for those photo rights. And I think that the government tried to get ahead of this because they knew that the defense was going to be asking about this during her cross-examination. But as far as this particular incident in 2010, it seemed that it really impacted Mila, but that was the one incident that she had spoken about while she testified today.
Yeah, I knew the defense was gonna have a field day with that, because the idea that she kept doing the media rounds and was getting paid for the photos, it would suggest she has a financial and reputational incentive. To be
a lot of these people is up against Diddy for money. Now, Kid Cudi ain't getting no money out there. Kid Cudi just
is this hotel manager. Okay, I believe the name is Frederick Zamore.
now the hotel manager testified.
But my understanding is this person revealed, Diddy allegedly used aliases to check into hotels, right? What were the names that Diddy allegedly used, and why does it matter?
Yeah, so when Frederick Zamore came into the courtroom today, I didn't necessarily know where his testimony would necessarily go. All we knew about him was that he was an employee at a hotel, but didn't know where that would kind of lead to. And so it was just a lot of exhibits with a lot of just kind of logs and documents just about everything. So some of the names that we had seen from the exhibits are just names related to Sean Combs. We saw that the name of
one thing I'm gonna really say is they trying to the feds are bringing out. Let me scrap my mic. I see sometimes when I talk, I like to grab my mic to me, so I don't keep that note. So I feel like the feds are just pulling out every goddamn thing and that they got or anything that they can get. African mama and free Diddy, all these fake sex allegations and extremely powerful potion receipts to the brothers like Cassie wasn't forced to do anything. Come Diddy coming home, he's innocent. Prodigy warned us. I agree 100%. I think Diddy coming home. And again, I am one of those believers that Diddy. Hey man, hey Africa Motherland. I always read your comments. Donate to the channel. Hit that like button and donate to the channel. That's what you can do. That shows me that you appreciate me as well as I appreciate you. But if you would do me a kind favor, donate it to the channel. It don't matter what it is. Donation, I'm happy for it. If you can't, I'm happy that you just tapped in. Share the video for me. Get people in here. Get people in this live. I'm rocking out to a little after 12. They said my fan base in it after 12, so we should be lit. My hand it's like, man, boy, I don't want to get all dry. But so today you had a hotel, you had the makeup artist, and you had Kid Cudi. And Kid Cudi, it really kind of made me mad with Kid Cudi taking the stand. Like, come on, Cudi. You know what y'all had? Y'all had calls back in 2011. It's 2025, Cudi. Like, why are you coming up there talking about that? When people pulled you up, Kid Cudi, you could have said you ain't remember. You that mad at Diddy, boy? Like, come on, Jack. You saying this beef happened in 2011? Like, come on, bro. Let's finish. Y'all, please come on, hit that notification button, man. Get me in the algorithm.
So many of the name changes attached to that profile of Brian Lopez, also for Sean Combs. And so we saw names including Jackie Starr. We saw Sean Combs. We saw Sean Combs be changed to Jackie Starr. We saw Jackie Starr be changed to Sean Combs, and then it was later changed to Ryan Lopez. And then we saw check-in logs. We saw checkout logs as well, too. And there was just a lot of just quick documents that we were seeing. They were just so small to read, but a lot of the big names that we saw again being Jackie Starr, Sean Combs, Ryan Lopez, Frank Black, a name that we know that Diddy used as an alias a number of times and a lot of other different circumstances. And so those were the big names that we saw in just a lot of those documents with a very small imprint on them. Also, another interesting thing that we saw, Jesse, was some of the profile notes. And those were essentially just the long list of notes attached to the profiles, normally about kind of the usuals that the guests would have when they checked into these hotels. But for this specific profile note that we saw things like always spill candle wax on everything and uses excessive amounts of oil, but didn't specify what type of oil, just said excessive amounts of oil. Place the room out of order upon departure for deep cleaning. Please authorize an extra $1,000 when guest stays with us to cover any room damages. And then we saw that.
Meet Bill and Will.
They said hotel man saying Diddy had aliases. There's a whole lot of oil being used.
If there needed to be credit card approval, it had to go through Eli Maroon, Dave Shirley, or Christina Coram. And so those three names specifically were Diddy's former assistants that we now know to be. But I just thought it was interesting because those specific profile notes just about the candles, just about the oil. But there is also amenities too that were bought, I guess, at this hotel, such as fruit, such as water, such as chocolate, truffled chocolate as well. Champagne and birthday cake. And so I think what the government was trying to do, because there was no cross-examination to this witness, was just kind of explain just what all goes into the hotel from the hotel staff's point of view, as far as what hotel staffers can normally expect whenever Sean Combs or his other aliases check into one of their rooms.
What a day. What a day. I mean, if people thought that week 2 of this trial was going to be slow, they were wrong. So now we go into what's next. What is next in this case, Elizabeth?
Yeah. So one of the things I love that the government always does is tell us what witnesses we're expecting towards the end of court. So this is normally a time where the jury is already gone. Some other people kind of leave the courtroom too, but I always kind of stick around to know what are we going to expect next. But what we can expect on Tuesday, because a lot of us are going to enjoy this very nice long weekend, myself included, and some of the jurors, and hopefully you too, Jesse. But what we can expect on Tuesday is another probably bombshell day, because guess who's testifying? Capricorn Clark. And Capricorn Clark used to work for Diddy. She was involved in a way, with the whole Molotov cocktail situation with
Tell
Kid
you.
Cudi. So we're expecting to hear from her just about everything that she witnessed during her time with Diddy and even being friends with Cassie. The other witnesses that are going to be called after Capricorn Clark are going to be, I guess, an officer with LAPD as well as an officer with LAFD. So maybe it's going to be kind of in a continuation of the Kid Cudi allegation and the Molotov cocktail and possibly that. But they didn't go into, they didn't specify what the officers or even the firefighter might possibly talk about. But as far as Capricorn Clark goes, it's a witness I'm definitely kind of anxious to hear from.
Again, kidnapping, arson, these underlying predicate crimes for the overall racketeering charge, a charge that carries life in prison.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised they might be focusing so much attention on those two potential.
I mean, what y'all think, man? Kid Cudi taking the stain, bro, after all this time. It's just, yo, I can't even imagine that. Like, bro, you broke in my house, bro. Like, at first I liked it. It was getting, to be honest with you, it was getting when Cudi, you know, this happened years ago, right? I know Kid Cudi is not he's a backpack artist. He's a vocalist, he's a producer, he's a backpack artist. I don't think he's out that mob. But it's like, okay, if you would have did this back in 11, cool. But Cudi's been almost 15 years. You know what I mean? 15 years. You get what I'm saying? 15 years, bro. I'm quite sure. And you was with Kanye, and Kanye's a good friend of Diddy's. You get what I'm saying? I'm quite sure you could have got around that man that had a squabble. But just taking the stand 15 years later was really devastating for me with Kid Cudi. You know what I'm saying? The bodyguards, the makeup artists, the old assistants, all them going to do. Man, Abdullah, you have the right to believe that. You had a right to believe that. You had a right to believe that. That's your opinion. You know what I'm saying? If you're in the United States of America, it's freedom of speech. You had a right to believe that. You and thousands, maybe millions of people believe that Diddy's where he at and where he should stay at. Then there's thousands and millions of people that don't believe it. So it's a 50-50 it's a 50-50 toss-up. You know what I mean? How else do you feel, brother? We want to know your feelings. You know what I mean? You can state your feelings how you feel, sure. So, but you know what I mean? I don't think Diddy's gonna get found guilty or anything. So let's talk about this. It was a shooting in DC. If y'all know, I'm from Baltimore.
We now know, Tom.
I'm from Baltimore and I'm a part of the DMV. You know what I mean? You know, I'm from West Baltimore, but the DMV is, you know what I'm saying, on my own. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into the suspect in the Capitol Museum shooting charge. You know what I mean? So went in the Capitol, went in a Jewish museum and killed 2 people. He needs to go where he belongs. That's more serious than the Diddy stuff. That's more serious than the Diddy stuff. Because one thing about RDP, Raw Dope Podcast, the vlog, the content, we talk about Diddy, now we're going to talk about stuff. See, I mix it up. I'm a hip-hop guy. I'm an entertainer guy. That's my bread and butter. You know what I mean? The community, jail calls, ex-convicts. You know, that's my cup of tea. But also, world news. You know what I mean? Is my thing, especially something that happens in the DMV or anybody that's from Baltimore, DC, outskirts of Maryland and Virginia. You know what I mean? I'm going to cover that. You know what I mean? I'm going to cover that. And also, I'm going to cover global. So, hey, let's get into this.
I know, Tom, that this is a death penalty eligible case.
Yes, God. Yeah, you know that.
We heard about some of the details of this suspect, some of his movements, the security that was there when these 2 victims were in fact shot. Walk us through what else we learned during this presser.
Sure. So, in the course of that press conference, the charging document, a criminal complaint filed by an FBI special agent, was docketed with the court, and it provides a detailed timeline, at least what they've found so far in the course of the investigation. Big asterisk on all of this here, Yasmin, is the fact that there will likely, and they've alluded to this at the press conference, be additional charges, and there'll be additional information that comes out. This is just to put the charges on him and order him detained. A judge has ordered him detained, and he'll next be in court on June 18th. As far as the specifics of what happened last night, and you're looking at some of the investigative research that happened today as the FBI went in and executed a search warrant, members of their SWAT team going into his residence in Chicago. What they say happened last night in Washington, D.C.
I don't mean to cut it off, but you know what I'm saying? I gotta grab my microphone.
I'm back. Hey, if y'all new to this channel, let me tell you a little about it. This channel, first episode dropped December the 3rd, 2018. This channel was built off of trying to give a platform to up and coming artists, ex-convicts, independent women, single mothers, strippers, you know what I mean? People with a story, the have-nots, the have and the have-nots, the people from the bottom, disadvantaged minorities that didn't have $1,000, $2,000 to get on the platforms that was out back then to get your message out. So we created Raw Dope Podcast. It stands for the rawest and dopest interviews on the planet, the dopest content on the planet. Raw means authentic. It's nothing fake about what I talk about on my channel. Dope meaning it's cool as fuck. We not overstepping our boundaries. We never jumping out our lane. You get what I'm saying? And the podcast is what I did. My specialties are interviews. I started out with a team, and then it dropped down to two of us. Me and Kenny been holding it down ever since the team dismantled. You know what I'm saying? I bust my ass in this shit, but I ain't give it my all, and I give it my all. You get what I'm saying? I can honestly say, people might say, yo, Ham, a hard working motherfucker, he consistent, but I'm telling you, I'm slacking. You know what I mean? It's been because I should be further than what I am. I am grateful for where I am, but I could be further, and I'm a grind. I like to just have simple conversations. You know what I mean? The same conversations you have in a barbershop, the same conversation you have on the yard, the same conversation you have with your cell buddy, same conversation you have with your father, your uncle, your lady. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Good conversation. You know what I mean? And we do handle trolls. We are what you call troll stoppers. We are what you call troll killers. We know the trolls come out. I am an early morning person. So I usually do hand 5,000 in the morning under the Raw Dope Podcast umbrella. But lately, you know what I'm saying? It just, life be lifing. So I kind of was like, so now the goal is to go 30 for 30 to get back in the algorithm and get the name balanced. But I built this to, build a platform for artists in Baltimore because it was hard. Baltimore, a hard place. You get what I'm saying? It's when it comes to entertaining. So I was like, yo, let me build a platform where dudes ain't got to go run all around the bridge. They can reach out to me. We get on, they tell their story. You know what I mean? That's it. So that's just how I came with it. And my content's been dope as fuck ever since. You get what I'm saying? My time coming. I think it was way Raw Dope Podcast was way ahead of its time. I could tell by when I post clips, dudes be thinking that's that's it. And I mean, I interview just as much as people as 92Q. As far as locally, you know what I mean. And we got busy. You know what I mean? Shout out to Dave East, Corey Guns, Peasy, I Swear Vazo, Webby. You know what I mean? Just some celebrities just to name. But most importantly, shout out to my city. You get what I'm saying? Shout out to my city. You get what I'm saying? For just allowing me, just having great people all around the board, which allowed me to create a platform. If Baltimore wasn't so talented, Baltimore City, Baltimore County wasn't so talented, I would never been able to, be out so long, and like YouTube not easy, Spotify, you know what I mean, putting content out not easy. It's hard to bring into the algorithm. It is hard, but it's fair. It's no execution, no excuses. Work hard for it. Excellent demands sacrifice. We ain't complain about nothing. Hustlers, we don't complain. We figure it out. You know what I mean? It's alright. You get what I'm saying? It's alright. It's gonna be alright. I just do for self. You get what I'm saying? That's the motto. But that's a little bit about the channel and me. You get what I'm saying? I'm from Baltimore City. I'm a hip hop head. You know what I mean? I'm a stoner, and I'm a man, 100% man. You know what I mean? I stand on business. You get what I'm saying? And I got a background too. My story will make you cry, but I know 50 people's story worse than mine. So you know what I mean? We all ghetto, B. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how it is, bro. And I stand behind that. No fuck shit, no fake shit, no foolishness. Anything you say can and will be used against you on the internet. And we don't start trouble and we don't instigate. That's fuck shit. That's foolishness. I don't play games with men and women just for some likes or just for a check. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be who I am. The content gonna make it or not. I love what I do, and I make my own money to handle my business and take care of my priorities. So we ain't, you know what I'm saying? We could use a lot over here, but we definitely not crying over here. We hurting, but we ain't crying over here. We getting it done. But if you fuck with me, hit that notification button, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, leave a comment. That's a little bit about me, a little bit about my channel. 7th year anniversary come up. That's my favorite number, 7. Everything 7 with me. That's my favorite number. And 8. I love each and every one of y'all who tap in with me. My little close to 5,000 subscribers, they ain't robots, they ain't fake, they real. And I have content that did 20,000, 100,000. I have content that's doing a shout out to YG Tech and Moose. That video came out almost a year ago, almost at 100K. Do the math for that. You know what I mean? But let's get back into this idiot that decided to take a gun in the museum and kill innocent people. Then they already said it. He did it in the nation's capital, and he will get the death penalty.
See the details, very troubling. These two individuals, apparently he spots them as they're leaving this event. He goes past them and turns around and shoots at both of them in their backs. At some point, Sarah Milgram actually gets up to try to leave. I'll spare some of the details, but he effectively hunts her down, according to the allegations, and continues to fire. 21 shell casings found at the scene. The gun was found slide locked, meaning that it had expelled or exhausted all of its ammo. A magazine was found empty. So this incident somehow could have been even worse if he had more ammunition on him. He was then, as you laid out, did tell police officers that he, quote, he did it upon seeking police out after he went inside that museum.
Did we hear anything about whether or not these two victims were actually targeted, these two victims specifically, and also more so when it comes to security, what additional security measures are going to be put into place, especially places that could feasibly be targets to copycats, as we've seen before?
So a law enforcement official said at that press conference that this event was targeted, but not necessarily these two specific individuals. It appears that he was outside ahead of time, according to an eyewitness report, and then saw these two crossing the street as he was approaching the museum. So that appears to be how their interaction occurred. It appears that they were just tragically in the very wrong place at the very wrong time. As far as things going forward, DC law enforcement officials have said that they're going to step up the patrols in that city, that they're going to have a large police presence at Jewish community centers and other faith-based organizations. We're seeing the exact same thing here in New York with the NYPD's Critical Response Command, a terrorism-focused counterterrorism bureau led.
You know, ain't no hate in my blood. You know, ain't no hate in my blood, and it ain't no evil unless you done something to me. But I'm gonna take a moment of silence for those two people that got killed, and just send your prayers up, for the Jewish community, and this loss, just innocent people. I believe service to humanity is the best work of life. I believe crimes against humanity is the worst thing you can do in life, and I believe that in any type of situation, justice should be served, especially when when what you did or what you're doing is not justifiable. So I just want to take a moment of silence for those victims that were tragically killed in DC at the Jewish museum. On behalf of RDP and Faso Life Worldwide, we send our condolences to those victims that lost their life to senseless violence. Minding their business, on the beautiful streets of Washington D.C., headed to a beautiful museum. You know what I mean? Museums are art and history. So they were there, you know what I mean, to pay homage to what they believe in and what they like. They were doing what they like, what you can do in America. So they didn't deserve to lose their life tragic. You know, man, I don't care what color, shade, creed, fashion, or whatever. You don't deserve to be, assaulted, murdered, killed, beat on, or nothing like that, especially when you're not engaging in ignorance. When you're not a part of that community, you don't deserve that. And again, prayers goes up and my condolences go out to them people. But let's just get back into it.
Rifles. They will be present outside of Jewish houses of worship in this city, high-profile Israeli government sites as well. That police presence have been pretty steady since October 7th, but certainly the addition of these heavy weapons and heavy armored teams that are specifically trained to deal with a threat just like this one, somebody trying to use a gun or use some other sort of weapon to carry out an attack against the Jewish community or the Israeli government facilities in this city. They are certainly prepared for that, and they have not been bashful today about putting out the fact that they are there and they are there to stop any potential additional threats in New York City. Edwin.
Tom Winter, thank you for being on this for us. We appreciate you.
Thanks for watching. Stay.
That's tough though. Witnesses spoke.
So we have been following up on last night.
This is breaking news, y'all. This is devastating.
Embassy workers at the Israeli embassy.
Kate Kalisha joins us now.
So they were embassy
Katie,
workers.
I understand you were there last night, even able to get some of that video that's been circulating throughout the day today. Tell us a little bit about what you saw and experienced last evening.
So I went to this event at the Capitol Jewish Museum, and it was a really great panel that was hosted by AJC, where we were discussing how groups are working together in Israel and Gaza in order to get humanitarian aid to those Gazans that so much need it. And the event was ruined when this man came and murdered two people. So the event was about wrapping up, and it was about 9:07, and we heard some gunshots, and we didn't immediately understand what's going on. And a man came in, and he was covered in rain, and he said, "Call the police." And we thought that he was just walking around maybe and witnessed a crime, and so the security guards let him inside. Come to find out, he was in fact the murderer. And even one of my friends offered him, "Are you okay? Can I get you some water?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, that'd be great." So she goes and gets some water, and I'm talking to the guy, and I'm just trying to kind of want to relax him. And I'm like, "So do you like the museum?" And he's like playing dumb with me, like, "Oh, what kind of museum is this?" And I told him it's a Jewish museum. And he asked, "Do you think that's maybe why they did this?" Like referring to the gunshots that we heard.
Wow.
And I didn't even put two and two together at that moment.
Now, this idiot, right? This is why this idiot did this crime, went into the place, sat down, had a conversation. Smash it rule. She's telling the clear story of what happened right now. When she get in court, she gonna be crying, breaking down. It's horrible to see him. He did the most horrific crime, and this idiot is gonna get the death penalty. There it is. Believe it or not, the death penalty still exists. And hey, I'm Muslim by faith. And I tell anybody, hey, I believe Allah knows best. Let like that old Tupac saying, let the Lord judge the criminals. But before the Lord get to judge you, the U.S. government gonna judge you. And you gonna think that day when they judge you that they are God. Because they gonna take your life away from you. When you commit a crime like that on that level, it's bye-bye. It's bye-bye. It's hasta la vista, baby.
whatever you was on, whatever you was thinking, you did not want to be a part of society ever again. I promise you, when you do certain shit, boy, you will never be part of society again. You know, especially if you don't take yourself out. You got to live to go through that. It's a such thing as being buried alive. It's thousands, hundreds of thousands of inmates in the United States that's buried alive with numbers that don't exist with the word freedom. You get it? You can't divide those numbers into the word freedom. You just keep going and going and going and going and going. So you just ball the paper up and throw it in the trash can. That's some of the time that men and women are serving in the United States. Believe that. Him, he gonna serve about a dub, and they gonna hit him with that gas.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
Believe that.
And that's when he reaches into his bag and pulls out a keffiyeh and says, I did this. I did this for Gaza, free Palestine. And starts shouting, free Palestine, free Palestine. And that's when the police come in and arrest him.
There are also reports, Katie, and thank you for walking us through step by step what you endured and witnessed, that the suspect was seen pacing back and forth outside of the museum prior to the event. Did you notice him or anything suspicious?
No.
Katie, I'm fascinated by what appears to be his demeanor when you were talking to him. And if the timeline plays out, the shootings would have already happened, right? When you were talking with this person inside of the museum. Did you had no suspicion at all that this was the person who may have shot these people outside who had just left the event that you were at?
I had no suspicion. He seemed very upset, but I figured it's because he just saw someone get shot.
We also saw reports of him saying, call the police as well, that really buffers what you just said happened in terms of his demeanor and what he was saying.
Right.
I'm curious to know how you're feeling this morning. We heard officials say there is no active threat, but many people in various communities are still afraid. What's going through your heart and mind moving forward after what happened last night?
I think that anti-Semitism is out of control in this country. And this is not the first time that I have experienced an anti-Semitic act firsthand. And I don't think it's going to be the last. I think that we have really good reason to be on high alert.
As you were just talking, and as you are right now, we're showing the pictures of the victims, Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram. What can you tell us about them?
I don't know them. But I know that they were going to be engaged soon, and they were just coming to an event to discuss how we can make a more peaceful world. And unfortunately, their lives were ended.
What was the conversation? I'm sure you all were upset, understandably so, following the incident. I understand you all had gathered to talk about humanitarian aid for Gaza and other war-torn areas. What did you all say to each other? How did you comfort each other immediately following the shooting?
Immediately following the shooting, the police brought us in individually to be interviewed, and they instructed us not to speak to each other, I guess to not disrupt like the justice process. But we were looking at our phones and understanding the story unfolding in real time, and understanding like, wow, that guy really was in fact the shooter, because whenever we have Jewish events or Israel events, there's often security concerns and often protesters. So I didn't even understand until the police told me for sure he was in fact the shooter. I thought maybe he was just a protester. So we were really just trying to figure out what was happening in real time.
No doubt about it. Katie, I appreciate you joining us as we wrap things up. I'm just trying to.
So what I got out of this just now is that this shooter is about the Palestinians in the Gaza. And I don't speak about that. I want to create a Patreon to get into that. But he gave up the rest of his life in prison. In the death penalty here in America. And why did he did that? To me, I think it's idiotic. I think it's stupid. I think you're gonna, you're gonna die, playing with this. But at the end of the day, who am I or who are you to judge what somebody believe in? And sometimes what they believe in could cost them their life, and that's what they're willing to sacrifice. When you believe in something, whether it's negative or positive, one thing that you putting on your line is your blood, sweat, and tears. And when people say blood, sweat, and tears, that means your life. You know what I mean? The blood, stands for your life. The tears stands for the sacrifice. Don't ever forget that. When people say I put my blood, sweat, and tears in there, they put their life on the line. The tears is their hard work, the pain for working hard. And when they come out of it, they hold that with an iron fist. So whatever you believe in, you know what I'm saying, you gonna stand on and you willing to die about it. Your blood, sweat, and tears, you putting it into it. So that person, I don't know much about it. That will be one of the cases that will be huge. It will be talked about for the next couple of years. He will be crucified in the District of Columbia. He will be crucified. Don't ever wake up in the morning thinking he won't be crucified. He will be crucified in that courtroom for what he did. You know what I mean? And it's been like, hey, listen, I'm a person like this. If you were to be I would use this word. I would use this. If you were to be a scarehead, right? And you were to say, hey, we everybody, hey, we hate people, we do all this, and you get your group of people and you go to a secluded area and y'all talk y'all hate stuff and y'all party and y'all be mad, that's cool with me. But when you talk that hate stuff and bring it out y'all privacy area and bring it to the public, that's when you got a problem with me. You know what I mean? I'm not racist, prejudiced, or none of that. But if you bring it my way, I can be all of the above. Me personally, just as a human, I come in peace. I don't drink much. You know what I mean? I don't do, cocaine. I don't do ecstasy. I don't do Molly's. I don't do Xanax. I don't do Suboxones. I don't do Adderall. I don't do dope. I don't do none of that stuff. I don't do heroin. I don't do morphine. I don't do methamphetamine. I don't do speed. I don't do wet. You know what I mean? I simply eat vegetables and smoke from the earth. And occasionally has some bourbon, some Henny, or some Remy. That's good for me. You know what I mean? At one time, my favorite, drug of choice was Molly and Ease, because I'm an uppity person. You know what I mean? I experimented and touched everything, but I outgrew it quick because it wasn't my cup of tea. Wasn't my lane. Wasn't my place. That's not my thing. You know what I mean? It was cool when it was a phase. You know what I mean? I didn't care because I was in my fucking phase. You know what I mean? But after I matured, got older, got better in thinking, I outgrew that stuff. And the first person I seen to outgrow that stuff was my mom. You know what I mean? My dad didn't outgrow that stuff, and it took his life. So, I come from a strong place. I come from addicted personality. So I don't knock nobody that use none of those drugs, but I just tell them, hey, one day the party got to stop. I realized it. I realized, hey, every fucking Friday and Saturday, every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I can't be off of E-pills or Molly's. You know what I mean? Every time I can't take perks, I can't do it. It's been a lot of years. I can honestly say, man, it's been almost 10 years. You know what I'm saying? If it didn't come from the doctor, I don't take it. You know what I mean? It's been like 10 years. But in my younger years, I partied like a rock star. We all remember the songs. You know what I mean? I hung out, you know what I'm saying? I was in my fucking phase. You get what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that. But when it becomes a habit and you start abusing it and you start making excuses why you constantly use it, that's a problem. And inshallah, that you're strong enough to see what's going on and leave it alone. I seen some friends. Died off of pills. I don't want to pop no more. No. I'm one of them people. I learn. I learn from other people's mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes in my life, but I learn from other people's mistakes. Believe that. Ain't no joke in that. I learn from other people's mistakes. I don't joke. I don't get down like that. I learn quick. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got to see. I don't got to happen to me for me to get it.
This is what officials in DC.
So we're gonna get a little bit into this, a little briefing, what they talking to DC about this incident. Then we're gonna get into those guys that broke out from the Paris, New Orleans, Paris. And we got Remy Ma and Papoose on the box too, baby.
Good evening. I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm Mayor of Washington, D.C. I am here with the Chief of the Metropolitan Police Department, Pamela Smith, and we are joined by members of the Washington, D.C. Public Safety Team and our partners in the federal government from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the special agent in charge, as well as the assistant director in charge. We are also joined by the Attorney General for the United States, Pam Bondi, the United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, Judge Pirro, as well as the Israeli Ambassador to the United States, Ambassador Leichter. We are here at the MPD headquarters to provide an update on a horrific shooting that happened shortly after 9 p.m. this evening near the Capitol Jewish Museum. I want to start by sending our condolences to the loved ones of the victims who were senselessly a victim of these crimes. I want to provide my prayers and condolences to the museum staff and the guests who are also gathering
that's that site right there. That's that hip hop wall.
The chief will share preliminary information from the investigation. I will say up front that there is no active threat in our community.
Yeah, that's that.
What I do know is that the horrific incident is going to frighten a lot of people in our city and in our country. And I want to be clear that we will not tolerate this violence or hate in our city. We will not tolerate any acts of terror.
Now, let me tell y'all something.
I'm with that. Me, I grew up in a dark place. I'm with that. We will not tolerate us as a people, no color, no shade, no creed. But me, as a man, as an African man here on the shores of North America, with a Caucasian bloodline, I'm going to do my ancestries because I know that, my bloodline comes from a woman of low melon. And my bloodline comes from a man of high melon and of the Indian descent. That's where my mother come from. Believe that. My mother generation started with a white woman and an Indian man, a black Indian man. My great great grandfather was real dark man, long hair, silky smooth hair. He was black as the street. And my great great grandmother was a Caucasian woman, blue eyes, brunette, if I'm not mistaken, brunette, blue eyes, brunette. Granddaddy was black man, Indian. Yeah. And my family was divided into the lightest and the darkest. And I grew up on the darkest side. The way my mom explained to me, it's two sides to my family. You know what I mean? The stomach is the white woman. the the sperm is the black man, the Indian man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Believe that, and I'm blessed to know that. And my daddy, that's a whole nother story. You know what I mean? But my daddy, I think more pure than my mother, and my mother a dark skinned woman. So just because somebody has a lot of melon color doesn't mean that it didn't come from a person that's not a lot of melon. You know what I mean? But it's generations. You know what I mean? As far as that my mother could remember, the queen was a woman, a Caucasian woman, and the king was an Indian and black man. And it came down to all of us. You know what I mean? Real true story, by the way. Ain't no faking in that. You know what I mean? Because I'm one of those kids that always want to know about my family. Like, all right, I knew my mother, right? I never got to meet my mother. I mean, not I never got to meet my mother's mother. And my mother told me that her mother, let me break it down. My mother, mother was white. You see what I'm saying? Fourth generation. But that's how it started. You know what I'm saying? That's how it started. And I know that because my mother told me that. And she, you know what I'm saying, my aunt had an old picture of, what I'm saying, my great great grandfather, and he was dark skinned, hair was long like mine, but it was straight. Yeah, yeah, old picture. Yeah, so me personally, I love history of my culture, but most importantly, I love my family history because I believe that it's all in the genes. I believe that if some, and I'm gonna tell y'all to every level, successful, smart people. I don't never believe that is no such thing as first generation. Only time that you can agree with something that's first, like you said, oh, this is the first person that got to graduate, it's the first millionaire. You don't know that till you know the whole beginning of your generation. You don't know that. You don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like I just said, 4 generations down the line, I don't know the Caucasian woman that's my great great grandmother. I never got to meet her. So I don't know what came of her bloodline, what successful people, what smart people, what killers, what bapists, what scammer, what hustler, anything good or bad. We don't know. But when you find out where the start of your bloodline at, then you could say where you come from, because some of us are black as fuck in the ghetto and just be like, if they go do their ancestries and you realize, bro, you not even an African American, you're not even of the African descendant, because people are so ignorant. And I know I got a little bit off topic, but that's how I am on my channel. When I build, people are so ignorant and naive, they go off of skin color. Skin color doesn't make you nothing. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? For real. I'm telling you, especially in America. You know what I'm saying? People in Asia, people that come from the root of something, the DR, Puerto Rico, they could go back to that. But us Americans, you know what I mean? A lot of us don't even know. A lot of us have identity crisis. You know what I mean? White people think they white people, blacks think they white people, all off of skin color. But I'm here to tell you, it's people to be dark and people to be light as fuck and don't even be what you think they is. For shit show. I promise you. You know what I mean? Let's get back into this, man. Please hit that notification button. That's that subscribe button. Drop a like, leave a comment. I never get off a topic, but I just go my way because, like I said, when I'm blogging, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not doing an interview. I'm just talking. We just having a conversation. If I could keep people in the chat, long as it don't say zero, I'm in here. If it says zero, I'm out of here. That's just the way game goes. And again, we're talking about the idiot, but some people might think he's an idiot. I do. Some people might think he's a hero, but I'm saying we're talking about the person that decided that he was going to go into the Jewish Embassy Museum and kill somebody. And now he's in custody. And when his charges come about after Memorial Day, after the holiday weekend, it will be a death penalty case and he will be found guilty. That's just how it works.
Together as a community in the coming days and weeks to send the clear message that we will not tolerate anti-Semitism.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask Chief Smith to talk about where we are with this investigation, followed by our FBI partners, and lastly, Ambassador Leiter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm Chief Pamela A. Smith, Chief of Police for the Metropolitan Police Department, and I'll start by expressing my sincere condolences to both of the victims and families, and also the attendees tonight at the Capitol Jewish Museum. At approximately 9:08 p.m. tonight, we received multiple calls for a shooting in the area of 3rd Street and F Street Northwest. Officers located one adult male and one adult female unconscious and not breathing at the scene. DC Fire and EMS responded, and despite all life-saving efforts, both victims succumbed to their injuries. The preliminary investigation indicates that both victims were exiting an event at the Capitol Jewish Museum located in the 500 block of 3rd Street Northwest when the shooting occurred. We believe the shooting was committed by a single suspect who is now in custody. Prior to the shooting, the suspect was observed pacing back and forth outside of the museum. He approached a group of 4 people, produced a handgun, and opened fire, striking both of our decedents. After the shooting, the suspect then entered the museum and was detained by event security. Once in handcuffs, the suspect identified where he discarded the weapon, and that weapon has been recovered, and he implied that he committed the offense. The suspect chanted, "Free, free Palestine," while in custody. The suspect has been tentatively identified as 30-year-old Elias Rodriguez of Chicago, Illinois. Our MPD case detectives are leading this investigation. I will now turn it over to Washington Field Office Associate Director, Steve Jensen.
Thank you, Chief. I'm Steve Jensen, the Assistant Director in charge of the Washington Field Office. I'd also like to express my sincere condolences not only to the family of the victims, but to the ambassador and the grievance for the Israeli nation. Tonight, a heinous crime was committed, and the FBI stands with the Metropolitan Police Department to help not only investigate the homicide and provide support, but also to look into ties to potential terrorism or motivation based on a bias-based crime or a hate crime. That's our reason for being here. Full support of the FBI to Metropolitan Police Department to resolve this. And I also want to express my sincere gratitude to Metropolitan Police Department for their quick action, their attempts to render aid, despite the nature of the crime resulting in the death of the victims. Getting the subject in custody quickly resolved this issue and allows us to continue with the investigation. And with that, I'll turn it over to the ambassador.
Thank you. Really what I have to say this evening is thank you, Mayor, to your amazing staff, Attorney General Bondi, Chief Attorney for Washington, Judge Janine Pirro. The couple that was gunned down tonight in the name of Free Palestine. It's a young couple about to be engaged. The young man purchased a ring this week with the intention of proposing to his girlfriend next week in Jerusalem. They were a beautiful couple who came to enjoy an evening in Washington's Cultural Center. I will say this: we are a resilient people. The people of Israel are resilient people. The people of the United States of America are resilient people. Together we won't be afraid. Together we'll stand, and we're going to overcome moral depravity of people who think that they're going to achieve political gains through murder. On the way in, Ms. Bondi was kind enough to hand me the phone. On the other line was the President of the United States, Donald Trump, who told me that his administration is going to do everything it can possibly do to fight and end anti-Semitism and the hatred that's being directed, the demonization and delegitimization of the state of Israel. Together with President Trump, our Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, will stand together tall and firm, and we will confront this moral depravity without fear and with determination. And now we'll turn to taking care of the families of these two victims. And again, I think the American administration, the city of Washington, and the law enforcement officers who are on this case are going to get to the bottom of it and bring justice to this city, to the people of Washington, the United States, the people of Israel, who are here feeling confident and safe in the city of Washington and around the United States of America. Thank you.
We'll take a few questions, Chief.
Hi, Shamari Stone from Fox 5 DC. You say that there is a suspect in custody right now, and he walked into the museum. What is he telling investigators tonight?
Well, I don't know what he's telling them at this moment. What I do know is that he is in custody. And as you know, Amari, we have to conduct an investigation, and that requires us to ask many questions. At the time of this press conference, I'm not privileged to that information as of right now.
Hi, Evan Paris for CNN. Is there any indication when he entered the Jewish Museum that he was planning to carry out additional shootings? Was he trying to harm other people? Is there any indication? Can you tell us any more about that? And also for the Attorney General and the U.S. Attorney, can you say whether, given the diplomatic component of this, does this become a federal investigation, a federal crime to be prosecuted by the federal government?
So in response to your first question, we're still conducting the investigation. And at this moment, again, it's preliminary. So you'll have to give us a little bit more time to determine what the motives were at this point.
Let me just jump in, Chief. And you heard from the chief and from the special agent in charge. The MPD is investigating the homicides, and the FBI.
You know what I mean? I'm not gonna keep going with that. But hey, he's in custody. It's an isolated event. So 5 of the people were arrested and captured, and one of them, committed suicide. So I think it's 4 people still on the run in the New Orleans parish jailbreak. You know what I mean? And I've been locked up before. I've been locked up quite a few times, arrested tons of times, in my life. It's a convicted killer, on the run. One thing I'm gonna say though, man, you cannot blame nobody for breaking out of jail. I'm just being honest with you. You know what I mean? Especially if you got life sentences. If you got a chance of coming home, it's probably the stupidest thing you did. If you finish, you can win an appeal court, and you can get another chance at it. But overall, bro, like, it's like resisting arrest. Like, who wants to stay in jail? If you find a way out of prison and you're not gonna get out of prison, I think that, and all of us, in society that don't break the law, that used to break the law, or never broke the law, can just all simply agree, if you were confined and it's a way out, and the only way out is either you get released or you breaking out, and you could break out. That's like saying, it's like saying it's a bunch of money right there falling out the sky and you don't pick none up. You're just that honest and you're just that real within yourself. You don't pick that up. You know what I'm saying? So it's that's one thing. In the old days, dudes were always planning prison breaks. You know what I mean? Like, come on, like, be real. But the consequences for those are very, 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 very crucial. When you do escape from prison, you give up everything: home confinement, halfway house, lower security. They will always treat you as a maximum security inmate. You'll always be behind the gate. For those ones that's convicted, when they get caught, if they get caught, um, it'll be tough. It'll be a long time before they ever, if any, and it's the racist New Orleans. It's the racist Louisiana. For one, you embarrass the security. You got. Let me break down this whole jailbreak. You embarrass the security. You know what I'm saying? You that's for one. You embarrass the state of Louisiana. You embarrass the correctional. You know what I mean? You embarrass the correctional facility. Um, you
One of the 10
you
inmates
know
who escaped
you get to be known it's a state and federal. It be really becomes federal if those at large commit a crime. You know what I'm saying? That's really when it becomes beyond that. But a lot of people will be fired. A lot of people will be removed from their posts. It was already a worker charged. The maintenance man was charged. He said he was threatening to get shanked. Why didn't he tell the people? I don't know. But he's gonna do time in jail. He's gonna wish he never did what he did. And basically it's tough. It's a tough situation. If I was, working in the Department of Corrections and I worked at that facility, I would not want to be a part of that. And it happens in jails around the world. Correctional officers get drafted. They work tons of hours, and they can't handle everything. They saying it's maybe an inside job, maybe it is. You know what I mean? Money talks, bullshit runs a marathon. Our Chapo escaped a few times. He won't escape again. So that's the situation that those guys in. They're gonna always put them in a situation where they can't escape again. So they always gonna be on a high alert for them. So you know, I just say you do the crime, you do the time. But when you're talking about time that doesn't have a existing release date, and you find a way through a toilet, or you could threaten a worker, and that worker really goes for the threats. But the most devastating thing about that whole situation is that those guys had an 8 hours and about 45 minute head start. The ones that they caught didn't probably had no family, no friends, and couldn't do nothing but wander around. So it's kind of like a waste of their time. Those other guys is at large. One of those guys was convicted already. You know what I'm saying? They running for real. Some of them dudes just was like, hey, they seen the opportunity and then they went for it. Some of them dudes, a couple of them dudes seen the opportunity and said, I'm getting out of here. So, some of them dudes I can honestly say, at least the first few that got caught, they didn't have no plan. So if you don't have a plan in place and you don't know nothing good, you ain't gonna be able to get nowhere. So that's why they got caught, and the rest of those guys are still literally on the run. But they say they caught a fifth suspect. So five of the guys are caught, and I think one of them committed suicide. Oh, it says, oh, this is 53 minutes ago. Let's go. We getting
New tonight, another
breaking
person
news. Let's go.
for allegedly helping an Orleans inmate after his escape. That is as we near a full week since that jailbreak.
And with no other escapees found today, we're combing through video evidence to track their movements. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Devin Bartolotta.
And I'm Sharice Gibson. 5 of those 10 inmates are still on the loose tonight. As we learn more about a Slidell woman now in custody, she becomes the 4th to face charges.
That includes a maintenance worker at the jail and 2 other women also accused of helping after they made it past OJC's walls. Lily Cummings joins us in studio now with more on these breaking developments. Lily, what can you tell us?
Well, Devin and Sharice, less than an hour ago, we learned that 59-year-old Connie Whedon of Slidell was arrested. Officials say she was in contact with Jermaine Donald before and after the escape. They also believe she gave him cash and a cell phone. Right now, Donald is one of those 5 inmates still on the run. Meanwhile, bond was set today for 2 others arrested earlier this week. I spent time this evening looking deeper into their connection to the inmates they helped. 2 women have been arrested for helping Orleans Parish inmates after they escaped nearly a week ago. Our investigators learned 38-year-old Corvante Baptiste of Slidell is the aunt of escapee Corey Boyd. Investigators say Baptiste was in contact with Boyd via phone and social media and helped him get food while he was hiding. Boyd was recaptured Tuesday evening in the 1400 block of Iberville. We've now learned that the apartment he was found in belonged to his grandmother, but she claims she didn't know he was there. Boyd's grandmother has not been arrested and so far faces no charges. Meanwhile, 32-year-old Courtney Harris's connection to the 2 inmates she's accused of helping remains a mystery. State police say she drove them around New Orleans and was in contact with one over the phone. Court records show she helped Leo Tate and Jermaine Donald, who are still on the run. Now authorities say both women are booked in the Plaquemines Parish Jail. On Thursday, via video call, they learned their bonds. $1 million for Baptiste and $2.5 million for Harris. They face 1 felony count each of accessories after the fact. And we are working to learn more about that latest arrest, but for anyone convicted of accessory after the fact, they could be fined up to $500 and face up to 5 years in prison. Sharice.
Lily, thank you. Meanwhile, for investigators, it is a race to sift through this evidence, hoping something will hold clues to where those inmates who are still out might be.
Now, from street cameras to residential surveillance, our Eleanor Tabone puts together a timeline of the movements we know so far.
Authorities say at 12:22 in the morning, inmates were seen jarring one of the jail sliding doors open. At 12:43 a.m., the inmates entered that cell. 10 inmates escaped through a hole in the wall behind a toilet. Pictures show what the cell looked like prior to the escape and what it looked like after. At 1 a.m., they were caught on camera exiting the Orleans Parish Justice Centre using an adjacent loading dock door. They then went down a road behind the OPSO building. At 1:19 a.m., they were seen scaling the fence along I-10. After breaking out of jail, scaling barbed wire fencing, jumping a concrete barrier and crossing multiple lanes of interstate traffic, the inmates then made it to this side. Authorities say they then shed their clothes and made their way through the city. Just after 2 a.m., these 3 inmates were seen walking down the 800 block of Barone Street in the CBD.
Yeah, cut right there.
You hear them say, "Cut right there," and they turn down an alleyway heading away from Barone. Another angle shows the team walking away from the camera down the alley. The alley they're walking down ends at Plaza Tower. Just before 10 a.m., 9 hours after the escape, 2 inmates were seen on Project Nola's facial recognition cameras in the French Quarter. One of them, Kendall Miles. Around 11:30 a.m., surveillance shows Miles being apprehended after he was found hiding under a car at the Hotel Monteleone parking garage. 5 inmates are still on the run. If you see them, authorities say don't approach them. Instead, call 911 or call Crime Stoppers. Eleanor Tabone, WWL, Louisiana.
Once again, 5 of Friday's escaped inmates are still on the streets tonight. If you know anything, call Crime Stoppers. There is a $20,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. We will continue to follow this story closely and bring you any developments as they happen.
Yeah, that's dang. Oh boy, accessory after the fact ain't that bad. I ain't gonna lie. For them girls, accessory after the fact, they can't do much. You know what I mean? Like, you know, his aunt, my nephew called me. He just broke out of jail. I gave him some food. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm not about to get my nephew up. Like, I don't know what to fucking do. I didn't let him stay in the house. I didn't called him a cab. I didn't do nothing. I just gave him some food. They gotta prove that you did that. But you know what I mean? Hey, hit that notification button, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, leave a comment. So I was gonna save this for tomorrow, but I am gonna do the repeat. You know what I mean? They say get into the topic of the night, Ham. So Ham's got to do Remy Ma. We got to get into Remy Ma. Remy Ma, Papoose, rant. Now, I thought it was over. You know, I see Pat with his girl helping her train, doing what they got to do. Remy, rap league, everything's going on. Yo. Rico was good. Remy with the rap league doing her thing. I thought it was over. You know, I thought they got the divorce already, to be honest. As much as I'm a journalist, you know, as much as I cover topics, as much as I do hip hop, I thought it was over. I ain't that nosy. But apparently it ain't. They going crazy. A vlog posted about it, and I said it's cat with Remy. That's what I did say. I said it's all cat with Remy about it. I believe Remy got caught in the crossfire. Now she want to say Pap a bad man. You'd have been saying that. You Remy Ma. You was more popular than Papoose. But let's get into it. First, which one do y'all want to hear for? Y'all want to hear Remy side or y'all want to hear Pap side? We gotta hear Pap first. It's an hour ago. This is an hour ago. So I'm in the content, and I know I'm not. I'm gonna hit back in the morning. Diddy day 10. But
Coverage that you've been doing.
I don't want to see that. I want to really see Remy. I want to see Pap. What Pap say?
First and foremost, everybody who know me, let's keep it 100. Everybody who know me, you know I don't do this. I don't do none of this corniness. Can y'all hear me?
This Pat respond cool. Just 1 hour ago.
Everybody who know me, y'all know my style. She came on here claiming that, oh, everybody, I don't do this. Yes, you do. This is exactly the only thing you do. You know what I mean? Normally, I wouldn't even entertain this, but the fact that you mentioned my children, I'm not letting that ride. Since this whole situation happened, everybody know I never said nothing. The only time I said something was the last time when she tried to clout chase with this the whole fake thing she tried to put on Instagram before. But ever since this transpired, I never opened my mouth, never said nothing because that's not my style. And also, I would never want to disrespect her. You know what I mean? Actions speak way louder than words. Initially, when it transpired, which was 2022, when she started dealing with the lane. But that wasn't the first time I caught her cheating. I've caught her cheating numerous times since she's been home. With the lane, the reason, but hold on, let's get to the point. We're gonna get to the lane later. You had the audacity to mention my child. You had the audacity to mention me not seeing my daughter. When ever since I left, she has not allowed me to see my daughter. She's been straight miserable. I'm gonna say it again. All men out there who ever been through this type of situation, you know how it gets when you're dealing with a miserable individual. She did not allow me to see my daughter since this first transpired at the end of last year. Blatantly, I went to pick my daughter up from school. When I went to pick my daughter up from school, Diamond was picking my daughter up because that's who has my daughter all the time. And that was one of the biggest issues I had with her because all my daughter know is mommy and daddy. She was raised with both parents. That's all she know from day one since the womb. Our entire lives has been documented.
Papoose responding to Remy. Tag a female in here.
They like when y'all come on their page and y'all like their posts. They like when y'all spend y'all money on their concerts, on their music. They like when y'all make them rich. So y'all become fans and y'all follow the journey of these celebrities for years and years and years, right? As y'all follow the journey of these celebrities, you basically become a part of their life because you've been following them for 10 years, 15 years sometimes. You've been a fan of a celebrity or artist. But soon as something happens, the first thing they say to the fans is, you don't know me, right? Soon as something get out there bad that they don't want you to know about, the first thing they say is, oh, you don't know my life? Yes, they do. They know y'all know us very well. And the reason why I'm saying that is because don't allow none of these celebrities to fool you. When you hear a rumor that comes out, it's true. We are human, just like y'all, the audience, the supporters, the fans.
Fact.
So now you have a person
Pat
here
talking real
who
shit.
Life has been documented for decades through the fans watching us, seeing when she got incarcerated. Watch me visit her every day for a year straight. Watch me bring her 35 pounds of food a month. Watch me hold her down. Watch me in the courtroom getting into altercations with court officers over her. Witness when she came home. Witness me go build the anticipation for her to come out of prison.
Yeah.
Had a different artist do a drop every single day. Oh, the queen is coming. The return of the queen, right? All the fans witnessed her come home, witnessed us have the big wedding ceremony, followed our entire journey. Never trust a celebrity who erased their Instagram. You ever notice I never erased nothing on my page? All you gotta do is scroll down.
Me neither.
The same page that
Me
you
neither.
utilized today.
Me neither.
to lie
I never
for an
erased
hour
nothing
straight
on my page.
and tell all these fabricated stories, the same page I created. You know what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor there. We'll get back to that later. I went to pick my daughter up from school. There's a young lady who was picking my daughter up from school. And I notified her, hey, I called her, I said, hey, I'm coming to pick her up. I picked up my daughter, gave her a hug, gave her a kiss. And show them things you do when you see your child. Embrace my child. And I had to go take care of something that day. So after I see my daughter, I just wanted to see her and hug her because everything had been going on. I hadn't seen her in a little while. After I left, I think the next day or next 2 went by. She contacted me. Hey, you haven't seen your daughter since New Year's. I said, excuse me? I just seen my daughter yesterday. I just picked her up from school. What are you talking about? She didn't even know that I seen my daughter. You know why? Because she's never there with my daughter. She is never there with my child. And it's crazy that you have the audacity to open your mouth and say that I haven't seen my daughter, not only due to the fact that you didn't allow me to see her, since I finally got tired of your lies, tired of your narcissism and moved on, but the fact that while you was running out here cheating with this lame, not only cheating with this lame, you allowed him to destroy your entire life. Use all of your money. I want y'all to know this. Because I know a lot of my
that shit deep.
Papoose replying to Remy Ma. If you just tapped in, that's what we playing.
Because you mentioned my children. You had the audacity to mention my children, and you had the audacity. Can y'all hear me? Because some people complaining about the audio. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Let me know if y'all can hear me. Can you hear me now? If you can hear me, let me know. There's a few people saying they can't hear me. Let me know if y'all can hear me. I'm not covering the mic. Y'all saying I'm covering the mic. I let it go now. It's good? Brooklyn Jad and Egg. Jad, can you hear me? All right, now, yes. Okay, cool. Like I said earlier, for those who just came on the live, everybody who know me, and I'm talking about speaking on my actions, I don't do this. I don't clout chase. I never come on social media talking about anything. Even when I got stabbed in my back. Even when I got stabbed in my back by the person that I moved mountains for, fought battles, did everything, climbed everything.
Listen to
was
my man.
super loyal to. I still didn't slander you. I still didn't say nothing. I just kept it moving. But you had the audacity to mention my children. So since you want to mention my children, and that I can't let ride. A lot of people like, yo, Pat, that's not you. Don't entertain it. You know what I'm saying? People see through it. She's bitter. She's miserable. Yeah, that's a fact. But you mentioned my children, and that I'm not letting ride. So with that being said, you abandoned my child for months. I'm sorry, for days at a time. Knowing she had to go to school the next day, knowing I had to go to work the next day, since you want to get up on you and say, oh, you don't have a job. Because when I got the executive position at TuneCore initially, knowing I had to go to work the next day, knowing my daughter had to go to school, you stayed out with the lane.
Damn, baby.
You stayed out with the lane. You want to talk, and you stayed out with the lane while your daughter was crying for you. Tears. Also, she wanted to talk about all this money talk and all of this and what I don't got and what I got. Since I met her, I have written 90% of the rhymes that came out of her mouth. And with me saying that, I want to say this to y'all. Anyone who has an iPhone, you know how iPhones work. When I was younger, I used to be able to write rhymes in my head, create rhymes in my head, and remember them. Just like that. As time went on, I got a little older, I started to write rhymes in my email draft. Now, if you have an iPhone, you go in your email draft. If anybody come around me and we're in the flesh next to each other, I can type in any word from one of her songs and her entire rap will come up. The entire verse will come up. I never asked for a penny. I never asked for credit. She was my wife. I didn't want anything from her. I just wanted to see her win.
Damn.
Like I said, I have written 90% of the rhymes that came up.
Then I'm a man. I'm a man before anything. Women always get the jump. You know, they always want to say you deadbeat. They always want to say you fucked up. They always want to say a bunch of shit. And then you know what I'm saying? They go a man, like he said. People when things get physical and things get tough, they want to say, "Oh, you don't know me, you don't know me." Look, our whole life, our whole relationship been in the public eye. He wrote 90% of her music. That's what he's saying right now. All this because Remy mad because he moved on. Because she picked 6 minutes of pleasure. She chose it over her husband. Once you say I do and you jump over the berm, it's for better or worse. Through sickness and health, through death do you apart. You have no proof that that man cheated on you. You want to say, oh, Papoose was a fucked up nigga. I'm going to listen to Papoose forever. I'm a fan of Papoose. I think he's a stand-up guy. I don't know him personally. You know what I mean? But from what I see, and he's always in a public guy, he a stand-up guy. He 100. You know what I'm saying? He 100. You get what I'm saying? I don't see no flaw. You know what I mean? He probably made mistakes like every man make. He probably been through what every man ups and downs that man face, but I don't see no flaw in him as a person. You know, from Faces of Death, you know what I'm saying, to listen to a lot of, you know what I'm saying, his music, you know what I'm saying, and then watching him hold Remy down, watching him step back and give her props, watch him play his part as a man, like a lot of men do, but it get overlooked and it's not respected. And then Remy said, well, if a man's so good to you and a man do all this, what will make you leave? That's a serious question. You be like, oh yeah, we won't believe that. But what happens when you make mistakes? Because guess what? We all human. You know what I'm saying? We all human. We all human. We all human. So I'm gonna get back into this. But if y'all want to know what we did, then we covered the Diddy, Kid Cudi taking a stand, the New Orleans, You know, 5 of them still on the run, and now, just the breaking news. This is just in. This is really new. This ain't, you know what I'm saying? People in fucking the hills ain't even got this yet. But yeah, it's out though. Papoose replied to Remy Ma, and I'm quite sure everybody seen Remy Ma. But I know everybody ain't heard Papoose yet. I know the vlogs ain't go crazy. And since y'all tapping in with RDP at 12:24, let's go. I'm dropping it.
Said it. Y'all said it numerous times. Oh, we know that's Pat behind that pen. Did I ever agree with y'all? Did I ever put it out there? I never said I wrote her rhymes. I left it. I didn't need the credit. All I wanted her to do was win. Wrote the rhymes, did the contracts, security, the whole shit. So you fabricate these stories, and it's very weird that you're talking all of this money talk, but in your background, it's everything that I bought. All of the utilities are in my name. So all of this fabrication about, oh, he don't pay no bills, oh, he don't do this, he don't do that. If you analyze her live, the whole thing is about all of this money talk. Why? Because she wants y'all to think that she's this big shot. I don't need to come up here and perpetrate no fraud like I'm a big shot, like I'm this and I'm that. For the simple fact that I speak with my actions. You want to talk about black love? Anybody who follow me, they know I've always been pro-black and had knowledge of self since I was a teenager. So I represented that since I came to the door before I even knew. Okay? So don't ever talk about black love. What else she said? I gotta remember. So, first and foremost, very bipolar, very delusional. This is a person who will sit in front of you. She will post that live, and she'll say later, I didn't do that. I wasn't on live. You'll be sitting there like, huh? She will say something to you, and 10 minutes later say, I never said that. Everybody, and I don't want to talk bad about her, man. That's something that I never wanted to do. That's why when this took place, when she first got caught cheating with the lame.
Dang, Remy got caught cheating with the lame. Real shit. Remy got caught cheating with the lame, bro. There's nothing I can say. Remy got caught cheating with the lame, bro. Yo, Remy got caught cheating with the lame, bro. What can we do about that, bro? Remy got caught cheating with the lane, bro. With the lane, bro. Remy got caught cheating with the lane, bro. Remy got caught cheating with the lane, bro. I don't know why these roll-on wheels just don't go on the fucking rug. It makes it hard, bro.
Said, first of all, I couldn't even believe that she was stooped that low because he's such a cornball. Y'all say it yourself. I'm like, yo, there's no way it's this nigga. Because I'm trying to figure it out. Like, damn, who is this nigga? Because, we were living a normal, peaceful life, raising our child like we planned to, and she started to move real strange. So in the process of moving strange, it became stranger and stranger, worse and worse. So I said, damn, I gotta see what's going on. What the hell is going on? I started to do my research. As I did my research, I found out she was cheating with the lane. So once I find out, I brings it to her attention. I said, mind you, I didn't knock him out because he slept with my wife. Like I told y'all before, the reason I knocked him out was because he shook my hand. This slept with my wife. This is different. But let me tell y'all this. So I bring it to her attention that I found out that she's sleeping with the lane. She tells me, him? Why him? Why him out of all people? Not Goods, not his name. My words, my bond, my bonds, my life. I should get my life before my words shall fail. This was her exact words. Him? Why would I deal with him? I said, Rem, I know you're dealing with the lane. I know it. First and foremost, how it first fell on my radar that she was cheating with the nigga, he was running his mouth and it came back to me. They said, yo, Pat, this nigga out here telling niggas he fucking your wife. I said, word.
Damn.
So I did a little bit more research, connect a couple more dots. I finds out. She tells me this. Okay, I finds out. Mind you, it's not the first time she cheated. You know what I mean? I continued the marriage because I live by my wedding vow. I try to live by my wedding vows. Richer for poor, sicker for health, sickness and health. You know what I'm saying? Better for worse, and death do us part. So you try to work through things. Anybody out there who's married, y'all understand. So I found out she cheating with the lane. I bring it to her attention. Of course, we have an altercation, like basically argument back and forth or whatever transpired, right? Okay. She decides, and I decide that we're going to go to therapy, but she brings it to my attention, to be honest. She said, I think we should do therapy. I said, okay. Even though I'm private and I don't like to speak to people about my personal business, that was a very, very difficult thing for me to do. But I said, you know what? Let's do the therapy. We go to the therapist. The therapist's first question is, do you guys want a divorce or do y'all want to work it out? Me and her both said we want to work it out. So when she comes on live and say, we haven't slept in the bed since 2022, and to make it seem like and fabricate a story, like we had some agreement, you're such a liar. There was no agreement. When I found out you was with the lane, you denied it. You shitted on him. Basically said, yo, why would I be with him? Why do you think I would be with him? And then you wanted to go to therapy. So check it out, man. Check it out. So when we go to therapy, the therapist says, do y'all want to get a divorce or do y'all want to work it out? Me and her both said we want to work it out. I'm going to be honest. Because honestly, I didn't want to not live under the same roof as my 5-year-old. I love all my kids the same, but when you have children, and everyone knows that about me. Everybody who knows me, y'all know my character. Y'all know her character. Very rude, very disrespectful, not just to me, to everyone. But that speaks volumes. I didn't want to we planned to raise him with both parents. That was the plan. So I did not want to not live under the same roof with my little girl. I was there from the moment she came out of the womb, and I intended, and I always told her, I want to be there to the moment we take her to her prom. So when she graduates high school, college, get her degrees, I want to be there to take my daughter to her prom. And I told her that. So I never wanted to leave from under the roof with my baby. That's why I stayed around for this nonsense. And I don't want to go away from the point. Okay, so we did the therapy. The therapist gave us that option. We both said we want to work it out. She said, this is the plan. I'm going to give y'all a plan to work it out. She said, Pat, because like I told y'all previously, once I seen that she was cheating, like she was moving real strange, I'm talking about leaving for hours at a time. Every time I questioned it, it was a lie, just strange behavior. So once I noticed that she was moving strange, I started to do my research. So the therapist said, because she told the therapist, mind you, she got all these lies to y'all about me. The only thing she told the therapist was, oh, he doesn't trust me. He's going to keep looking behind me and trying to, find out what I'm doing. But the only reason why I was looking behind her is because she was moving strange.
Right.
So I agreed to, not show distrust or whatever. And the therapist told her,
I bet you do.
Remy, since you're saying that it's only business with this dude moving forward, but y'all have a last event coming up, after this event, you're going to cut all ties with this individual. This is what the therapist said. She said, Pat, because I told Rem back then, before I even clipped him, I said, when I catch son, I'm putting him down. I'm putting him down. He violated, you know what I'm saying? And what I noticed, when I found out, I noticed that every time me and her stepped out and made an appearance, he'd go post on his gram, do little sucker shit. He'd go make a post on his story about us. So I'm watching this. Mind you, y'all, I'm not saying nothing the whole time.
Like a real nigga.
Sleeping with my wife, but I ain't saying nothing. Feel me? I'm like, I'm gonna be quiet. I ain't saying nothing. Son doing sucker shit on the gram. That's cool. I ain't paying that no mind. We go to therapy. The therapist come up with the plan. We put the plan together. The therapist says she has this event coming up at Sony Hall. which was the battle between him and Hitman. She said, you can go to the event, right? But don't knock him. Don't do nothing to this individual. She said, I said, I'm going to go to the event. I'm going to fall back. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do nothing. After the event, she's supposed to leave the dude alone. Right? I go to the hold on a second, man. Give me 1 second. I don't know what to do. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second.
Damn, yo. You can't she's a fake nigga. You gonna like that then.
One second, y'all. Okay, back to the subject of the matter. So I go to the event. It's the battle with him and Hitman. Everybody there. Everybody remember that event. Y'all notice I never came on the stage, right? Never came on the stage, stayed in the crowd, fell back. Watched the entire little week battle, whatever, you know what I'm saying? On his behalf, because he trashed. Watch him do his little trash battle. You know what I'm saying? So as I'm watching it, I never did nothing. When we left the battle, I went home with my daughter. She went home with the lane. Went home with the lane. Okay. She came home. She went home with the lane, stayed out all night, came home probably like the next morning. When she came home, after that, the baby is there. I ain't tripped. Kept it moving, kept raising my daughter, kept it pushing. Couple days go by, things a little peaceful around the crib. I reach out to the therapist, let her know what transpired. We went to the event, everything was everything. After those couple days, me and my daughter, we all sleep in the same room. We go to bed. I'm saying it's bedtime. We sleep together in the same bed every night. As we're sleeping in the bed, I fall asleep. My daughter's in the middle of us. So it's 2 beds in our room now at this time because she started doing weird things around the crib or whatever. So me, her, and my daughter in the same bed. It's another bed over there. I wake up. It's just me and my daughter in the bed. So I get up. I see her in the other bed. So I go over to the other bed. And as I go to the other bed, I notice that her phone is on. When I pick up the phone, I see the name on the phone. You know what I'm saying? I said, okay. She on the phone with Delane. So after that, I woke her up. Hey, what's going on? This what you doing in here? This is what we doing? She started lying again, fabricating, this, that, and third. Long story short, she kept cheating with Delane. Okay. Move forward from that. Another battle comes up. Delane not on the card. Not on the card. It's just another event. But mind you, like I told y'all previously, I'm there for my daughter. I'm there being a father. I'm not going to allow this situation to take me away from my child. So what I did was kept raising my daughter. Even though I know that she's a narcissist, very contradictive, very bipolar.
Piece of shit.
You know what?
Piece of shit, Remy Ma.
This situation.
Remy Ma going under the gizzard. Rest in peace, plan. I'm sorry.
Take my daughter to school every single day, doing everything a father's supposed to do. In the process of me raising my daughter, another event is coming up later on down the line. Delane is not on the card. Okay. She has the event. I'm going to the event because I go to all the events. I'm going to the event, but I'm hoping Delane ain't there. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to have to really put my hands on her. Cool. I'm getting dressed. She leaves. They start the event. I'm still at the crib. I get dressed. I go to matter of fact, I can't even put that out there. Anyway, let me just say this. I found out Delane was dead. I said, she gotta be kidding me, man. I done told you I'm gonna put this nigga down and you bring him to the event. I've told you numerous times, when I catch this nigga, I'm gonna put him down. Mind you, I finds out she got an apartment 40 minutes away from our crib where she lays up with the lane, leaves and says she's going to work, leaves, say she's going to do this and do that, but she goes to the crib. I've been there. I can actually give y'all the address. So she got this. She got another crib, and shout to. I don't even want to put this nigga under the bus, man. But there's another individual who was married and got a crib not too far from the home of his family. But I ain't gonna put him out there. But she did the same thing, which was weirdo shit. So anyway, I go to the event. Now I already know I'm coming there. I'm putting this nigga down. I'm gonna be honest with you. Truthfully, I really wanted to really hurt him. But I decided at the last minute, I said, you know what? I'm gonna just put my hands on this nigga. I get to the
Pat joint went there. Yo, I ain't gonna lie. This joint going viral in the morning. This is gonna be goofy. I'm a Papoose fan. I follow him. I want y'all to see right now. I follow him. Look at the last comment on his page. That's me. I follow the guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it a buck with y'all. Let y'all know I follow him. I've been following him. You get what I'm saying? That's the guy, Pat. You know what I'm saying? I respect it. I respect it. I respect Pat. You know what I'm saying? Damn, Pat, your mic kept going out. I respect it. You know what I mean? Hey, Remy tell a story. The woman tells a story. And like I said, 65% of the time, the woman is the victim. Ooh, Ham just said that. Ham just said that. Oh, Ham just said, let's get into Remy. I'm going to say that. I got a reason. I got to play Remy because I'm a fan of her music, but here we go.
I couldn't take it anymore.
Oh, my God.
I said, hey, this ain't what it is. We can't keep doing this. We talking about people being truthful. Truthful?
Remy don't even look and sound convincing. She joking. Nobody's believing that.
You will probably literally, people will cry if they knew the truth. Like literally cry.
People will cry. Like, what are we crying about? A husband and a wife having problems, not being perfect. What are they gonna cry about?
I look at it and I feel sorry for old girl. Like I feel sorry for her because I know the circles that's being ran and wrapped around over there. Like I would cry. I feel bad. I feel bad. Stop calling me. Stop calling me. Stop calling me. Stop calling me. Hello. Hello?
Do you have that move right there? Now listen to what I'm saying. Listen, that move right there was fake. That move, stop calling me, and the person went in calling and talking about that Pap shit. No, Remy, no. Nobody believes this about Pat. Nobody believes this about Pat. Nobody believes this about Pat. But you got that 35%. You know, I'm a 35, 65%. Dude, even 65 or 35 with me. You know what I mean? Ain't no other way.
Oh, I'm on live. I thought you were calling me to tell me to get up live.
No, they wasn't, Remy. Nobody cares. Everybody knew you blew it.
How am I going outside? Because I'm not sitting here telling y'all everything that happened. That in a marriage, if you've never been married, you understand? If you've never been married, you wouldn't understand the bond that's supposed to be between two people. Between two people. You wouldn't understand that. You wouldn't understand, hold on, what you saying? Listen. I know what people care about. That man, he cares about what y'all think. I don't care about what y'all think. Like, unfortunately, not trying to be funny. I appreciate my fans and people that are actually my fans that love me. You understand? But I don't care what people think. Can't nobody with a revolving door on a coochie tell me I'm for the streets. I've been with the same man. I was with the same man for almost 20 years. Can't nobody tell me I'm for the street and make me feel some type of way. Are you crazy?
You definitely
Can't
for the streets.
nobody tell me, oh, you fumbled it. It's so funny. A lot of people like, you had a good husband. He's only had one wife. the only person that can tell y'all if he's a good husband or not. And when he was, I told y'all that. I told y'all. When she was cool, when she was like, when I thought it, when it was what I thought it was, I just kept it a being. When it's not, when it wasn't, I ain't say nothing. I dealt with it. I dealt with it.
This is no. Listen, y'all.
I ain't
She
never
doesn't
met
even sound believable.
Give me the common sense. I ain't never met a female who has a perfect dude that takes care of her, helps her financially, emotionally.
That's what Remy got me. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Men, women are not perfect. God didn't make none of us perfect.
Treat you like this wonderful thing, right? And you just say, you know what? I don't care. Fuck this whole shit. Who does that? Nobody. Nobody. Oh, everyone looks so much happier now. Girl, man, don't nobody fall in love faster than somebody with nowhere to stay. Stuff. I literally told him, every time your current come up says my name or does something that I feel is trying to attack me in any type of way, I'ma drag you. I'ma drag you. And I haven't even been dragging them. Bad enough, you got my daughter's mom out here looking crazy because you refuse to tell people, hey, me and Rem haven't even slept in the same bed since May 2022. You don't want to tell nobody that. You were so wrapped up in the whole black love thing. That was your thing. That was the only thing you had. And I realized that. And I respected that. You know what? I don't need to be out here telling people you ain't this and you ain't got this and you ain't doing this and you ain't that. Whoever get you, they'll see. They'll see. I see one of these. She was like, she said there was others. Who are they? I want to know. Do your own homework.
Remy doesn't even look like she's telling the truth.
She
She really doesn't look like she's telling the truth right now, bro.
It's about his personal image and what people think. I needed that. I was being told, you want me out? You want me out? Call police. Call police. Call your brother. Call your brother. Like, what? I'm not calling nobody. I'm not calling nobody over here to try to get them. First of all, the people telling me to call, they got love for you. They look at you as family. Jason Lee, what? Nah. I'm tired of anybody that I sit next to. Oh, that's her new boyfriend. Oh, she's on boyfriend number 4. She's how to have a boyfriend where I have a lawyer. I have a lawyer. She has been retained since last year. Because the original plan was like, you know what? You do what you want to do. I do what I want to do. We said we was gonna raise our daughter a certain way, you know. And we'll just we figure out how to live in the same house and whatever. But then felt like they can control what I do, but do whatever they want to do. Good talk.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm a person that likes to listen to both sides of the story and then come up with the scenario. But Remy lying, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I fucks with Remy. I'm a fan of Remy Ma and music. You know what I'm saying? You know, she fucked with one of my favorite MCs, Big Pun. You know what I'm saying? He on the wall up there. You know what I'm saying? Pun next to Biggie right there. If you ever wonder what that picture all the way in the back, that's Pun. Let me take y'all. Hold up. Blow the screen up. Hold up. Wait, blow it up for y'all. Blow it up for y'all. That's Pun. That's Pun back there. That's Big Pun. You know what I mean? That's Big Pun back there. So, you know, Pun's one of my favorites of all times. But like I said, a man could be wrong in a relationship, a woman could be wrong. This one, I just feel like Pap ain't bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Pap don't look like the type of guy. Men cheat, women cheat, but when you locked in, that ain't what's supposed to be going on. You know what I'm saying? Everybody know that. If you locked in, that ain't what's supposed to be going on. But
Nobody's taking the phone. She's scared. Okay. I'm not, and let's be clear, nobody's scared of nobody. All of that tough talk, nobody, all that tells me that I'm coming at you way different than I come at anybody else. Like, there should be no ill feelings at all. Especially in my advice. My advice was like, hey, if you move on with somebody and that person wants to be with you, or y'all planning a family together and all that, you can't come and talk crazy to me. How? Your future kid possibly is going to be related to my kid. What you doing? Stop. You understand what I'm saying? There's no ill feelings on either side, and I'm not emotional. I'm not. I'm very calm. And when I call him, I'm like, yo, why don't you do this? And we don't gotta be like this. Bad enough. One day, my daughter's gonna get older because my son is already grown. All of our other kids, I don't even know if they're my kids anymore because all of our other kids, they're grown. They're the same age as your girl. They're the same age. DJ was born in 95, she was born in 96. So I know how to deal with people of this age. You understand? Like, I'll be like, damn, like, call me. Like, if you ever really want to have a hard time, I'm not even gonna bash nobody. I'll tell you the truth.
I'm sorry, y'all. If y'all wanted to hear Remy Ma and Papoose, you gotta do it. I don't believe her. I don't believe Remy. You know what I'm saying? Remy fumbled the ball, and that's what happens when you fumble the ball. You know what I'm saying? Remy Martin fumbled the ball. You know what I'm saying? I believe Pap, and I don't believe Pap just because I'm a man and I'm siding on the man law and the bro code. Nah, bro. I'm a journalist. You know what I'm saying? I do entertainment, news, sports, hip hop, and I just feel like me listening to her, and me listening to him, I'm siding more with him, and I think Pat got the 65%, and Remy got the 35%. You know what I'm saying? You might win some, but you lost one. You fucked it with the lane. You was just supposed to crack the nigga and have fun. You let him destroy your happy home. And if your home wasn't happy, you wasn't supposed to go out and cheat before you clear the papers. You know what I mean? And if you dumb and acting like you don't know what that mean, hey, look, it's not working. Let's get a divorce. We do cancel. It's not working, but I'm not gonna sleep out on my girl. You know what I'm saying? And then play games with the divorce. Why haven't the divorce happened? Both of y'all moved on. What's the holding on to divorce? I don't think Papoose is holding on to the divorce. You know what I mean? And then you saying that he got a younger woman. I'm not sure how old Caressa Shield is, but I know she has a prominent future, and they seem happy right now in the beginning stages of their relationship. I don't even know if they're a couple. You know what I mean? People might say, "Oh, they're a couple because of this and that." No, they hanging out, they kicking it. You get what I'm saying? You don't know. We don't know them people personal business, but Papoose and Remy Martin done. And it's nothing wrong with that. It didn't work. You know what I'm saying? They're both people that's in their 40s. Um, they both can make money. You know what I'm saying? Remy ain't gonna fall off the map. I don't think Pap gonna fall off the map. You get what I'm saying? And they both good at what they do. But I think in this case, in my opinion, just my opinion, Doug. I got my own opinion, Doug. I think Remy dropped the ball. And I think that she's not satisfied with who she dropped the ball with. And that's cool. You know what I'm saying? We human, we all make mistakes. And she just gotta accept and take accountability and own up to that. Things happen. You know what I'm saying? We all make mistakes. We're human. But that's what it is. But that's all I got for y'all tonight. Please hit that notification button, that subscribe button, drop a like, leave a comment. No fuck shit, no fake shit, no foolishness. Anything you say can and will be used against you on the internet. RDP, aka Raw Dope Podcast. We out.